Welcome, everybody, to the Monkees podcast. I am Tekurah McCullough, and today our guest co-host is Eliot Hochberg. Woo!
Hello, I'm
Hey,
that person.
It's the famous hello that I hear twice a week now.
Well,
every week on Never Not Funny.
Yes, it's me.
That's
another thing. That's when we do the neighborhood council meetings.
Mm-hmm.
I've gotten into the habit of when somebody says my name and I'm about to say something, I go, "Yes, that's me," and everybody laughs for reasons that are I'm not entirely sure, but I'm not going to argue with it.
Oh, Eliot, you're delightful.
Thank you.
So I know Eliot from Never Not Funny, and he's also involved in so many other things. He has a Twitch channel. Are you still doing your Twitch?
I am still doing my Twitch channel. I've come to the realization that the Twitch channel is mostly just like a lab for me to make sure that I know what people are doing. Because I have not figured out I don't, fame is a weird thing that I don't have. And I'm not sure that I want it per se.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. I haven't figured out the thing that I like. I like doing performance things, but I haven't, the bottom line is Twitch would like you to do, for example, play Jackbox all the time. And then people will come. And I like playing Jackbox sometimes, but I don't want to do it all the time. So I just do the things that I want to do. And if it's enjoyable to a handful, and when I say a handful, I mean a handful of people, great.
Yeah, that sounds fair. And that's Simple Night 1, right?
Yeah, there's somebody else had Simple Night. And by the way, so this is fun, maybe. So way back in the day for me, because we're 50 now.
Oh,
you're welcome, everyone. Way back in the day, when I was playing Quake, when Quake first came out, and then they had like the network Quake, whatever. In my head, I was like, "There's all these things. Like, can we swear on this?"
Of course.
Yeah, like pushy shit 52 would be like a name of somebody on Quake, right? And I'm like, I don't want to be that. So I thought, well, what's sort of my vibe? And I was like, well, knights are supposed to be like good, even though we know that technically like chivalry is actually BS, but we could go into that.
Mm-hmm.
But like a lot of knights are like, they've got fancy stuff and they're like lords and whatever. And I'm like, no, I'm not that though. So I'm going to be simple knight. That's what I decided to be. Right.
Yeah.
So I've been that for a really long time. Well, maybe 8 years ago, I guess somebody else came. I mean, it's not that complicated of a concept. It's kind of surprising that it was as long as it was before somebody else decided to have that handle. But everywhere I went, I could always have that handle. And then finally somebody didn't. So somebody has parked on Twitch, Simple Night without a number, and has never posted anything. It's infuriating.
Why?
I don't know.
Why would you do that?
I don't know. But so here's the thing. So with not trying to get political or anything like this, but like was it Epic Games? No, it was Activision, Electronic Arts, one of them. I want to say it's Electronic Arts. I wanted to create a Simple Night handle there, and they wouldn't let me do it, and I couldn't figure out why. Can you guess why Simple Night would be filtered on Electronic Arts server?
Simple Night, no.
You're not going to believe it, but when you hear it, you're like, oh, yeah, I mean, I see what's happening there. Spell Simple Night.
I'm looking at it. I have it written down here.
There are 3 letters that EA filters. And it doesn't matter where they appear.
Oh, I see it.
Right? And I was like, well, I mean, like, terrible people can also be clever. And EA can't be clever enough. I'm not going to spell it out for the listener. You're going to have to figure out the puzzle yourself.
Yeah.
But
sorry, guys.
That's right. But it was one of those things where it's like I saw that and it created this cognitive dissonance for me. And I was like, well, maybe at some point I need to change my thing now, even though I feel like I shouldn't have to. But
no, yeah.
But actually, and just talking about it right now, I'm realizing like knights aren't actually that great either.
That's fine. Listen, I teach at a school where all our mascots are knight based, and it's ridiculous to me, but nobody else seems to care. So I'm like, all right, guess
it's one of those
what we're doing.
History is filled with terrible things,
right?
Is what it comes down to. And so if you do anything that isn't new, which is everything, then you're gonna accidentally overlap with a terrible thing.
Right.
And I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I wish I did.
I don't know. Just pick inanimate objects, I guess. Oh, well, no.
No.
Don't pick torture. Don't pick torture items. That would be bad.
But here's the thing is that terrible people have taken the OK symbol. So I don't really know.
No, that's so annoying. I used to use the OK symbol so many times as a teacher.
Yeah.
Now I had to switch to thumbs up, which I don't.
Which you have to be careful with thumbs up too, because that means things in other countries as well.
I know.
So I don't know what the answer is there. I thought it would be really funny to try to create a meme where like whatever the thing that a white supremacist is like the most uncomfortable with, I want to use the word "the" to mean that.
Okay.
So that they can never use the word "the" again.
The again. That's a complicated meme. I don't know.
It is. I don't know how. I look. Have I done it? No. But that was the thought experiment that I had. Like, how can I completely ruin the lives of terrible people?
Wow.
Take away the word "the" and good luck with that.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. That's devious. That is devious.
It's really good. I'm lazy and basically a nice person.
Yay! Hooray for lazy, nice people.
Yeah. Lazy, nice, devious people. Not purely nice people. They should not be lazy. But if you're a little bit devious, you should be lazy.
Yeah. Exactly. Right. Definitely. Speaking of nice people. Monkees are some nice boys.
Okay, I take your word for it. I've never met them.
Well, okay, their persona are nice boys. Their persona.
Is that true? Is that really true?
Yes, they are good boys.
I mean, so look, we're going to talk about this episode, and the premise is that we haven't watched it yet. I know.
Yeah, well.
But I knew what episode we were doing. So the premise of this is you love the Monkees, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I'm taking that. That is the premise, but I'm not sure they're entirely nice boys.
Oh, okay. This is going to be interesting, everybody. Is this your first encounter with the good boys?
No, but so I remember as a kid, I'm not old enough to have seen them first run because I was born in 1970, and I guess I looked this up. They went to 1971. So when I watched them, it was I like Saturday morning cartoons. That was my favorite thing, especially like Bugs Bunny, Roadrunner, all that stuff.
Right.
So anything that wasn't that, and like even like Tom and Jerry was kind of like second tier as far as I'm concerned.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So anything that wasn't that or as good as that, was like, I was like, all right, fine. Like Davy and Goliath. Do you remember Davy and Goliath?
Yeah, that was weird. I didn't like.
It was a weird show. It was kind of interesting, but also not great. Right. Or like, Felix the Cat. Like in concept, Felix the Cat is great. He's got a bag of tricks. He can pull anything out of it. Like that sounds great. But in execution, it's like the same animation over and over again. So it's kind of terrible.
Right.
So, and I remember as a kid, like I'd wake up on Sunday morning and I'd look at the TV guide when we had a paper printed out TV guide from the newspaper.
Right.
I'd look at the TV guide.
Days, yes.
and in the morning, there were all these things like, the 700 Club or like these very like self-help TV shows and whatever. And there was a show called Get Smart. And I was like, I am not going to watch that because I do not want to get smart. I've watched some of these other things and I do not need somebody to tell me how to be smart. Give me some cartoons. So I never knew what that was until I was basically a grown man. And I was like,
adorable.
I missed all the opportunity to have watched
you missed
Get Smart.
99. So
well,
fun.
I watched it later, but I didn't watch it as a kid, right?
Yeah.
And like Mel Brooks, right? So that's a shame, but that's like where my brain was. Okay. So the Monkees would come on, I want to say on Sunday as well. And it might have been in Los Angeles. Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Northern California.
Okay. So you may or may not, did you know Tom Hatton?
No, that doesn't sound familiar.
So he's KTLA 5, KTLA 5. So that would explain why. So they would have Popeye cartoons, which were hit or miss. And then he would do this thing where somebody would send him a squiggle and then he would try to draw a Popeye character out of it.
Oh, that's fun.
And then there would be like Three Stooges, which honestly, I'm not a Three Stooges guy. So, but you watch it because there's nothing better on. And then like there's sports at that point.
Right.
By the time that comes on. And so I want to say that the Monkees came on sometime in that Sunday thing. Sunday was not a good day for cartoons in Los Angeles as far as I was concerned. Yeah, so I just tried to get whatever I could while my parents were asleep.
Oh, nice.
And so my impression of the Monkees is very vague. I remember the car.
Yes, of course.
The car is fantastic.
I hate the Monkey Mobile. That's so
well, but here's the thing. It's like, look, it's a cartoon car. It's not a real car. I want to say, is it a Chuck Barris? Is that the right name?
Dean Jeffries, I think.
Dean Jeffries' car.
Yeah.
So that appealed to me. I'm a boy, and boys are supposed to like cars, right? Whatever. Anyway, I did like cars. And I saw that, I was like, wow, that's just crazy and fancy and like a spaceship almost, and whatever. So it appealed to me.
Okay.
But I don't have a strong recollection of the show otherwise.
Huh.
And so it was almost as if I had watched for the first time when I watched this. So there were certain elements that were familiar. I obviously knew the song,
right?
The title song and the closing title song, but I know in my head that the Monkees are supposed to be like the Beatles,
right?
But for TV.
And
I've seen Help, right?
Oh, okay, right.
I've seen Yellow Submarine. These are fantastic. What's the other one? There's another one. Hard Day's Night.
Yeah, that was the first one.
Right. So they're goofy. Weird things happen. Stuff doesn't entirely make sense all the time. But they're, and I wonder if I watched them now whether I would have the same opinion, because maybe I wouldn't based on the conversation we're about to have.
Oh no.
But I like, especially Yellow Submarine. Like there's a certain charm to their kind of deflecting questions and conversations in ways that are non sequiturs. That the Monkees has.
Okay, all right. I was afraid of that. Ooh, boy.
Yeah. So if there's one, there's actually, there are two things that I will say good about the show we were about to talk about. One of them is that they're very good at that. They're very good at the deflecting aside. Right. That they pulled that from the Beatles, and they did a very good job of that. The other thing is Mike Nesmith's song.
Right. Of course. You can't deny.
Right. That was a good song. It's like, and we'll get into it as we do the fake we're going away thing. But
okay. Stop calling out my show.
I'm sorry. What am I this happens. So nobody's fooled, are they? Maybe.
No,
anyway,
not. Everybody knows.
So I think I had a sense that the Monkees were supposed to be that.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair.
Right. And so that's what I had coming in.
Okay.
So now I will go back to you.
Okay.
I'm a co-host, so I'm allowed to be a little bit hosty, right?
All right. Of course.
I'm also drinking caffeine, so.
Oh boy. Yeah. I mean, if it was just me talking every week, every 2 weeks, or however often I put this out, it would just be, just the same stories every time. All right. So here we go. Oh, I'm going to read the description of the episode.
Please
everybody. Do. All right. So this is episode 24, Monkees a la mode, February 27th, 1967. Directed by Alex Singer, written by Gerald Gardner and Dee Caruso. Produced by Robert Rafelson and Bert Schneider, associate producer Ward Sylvester, a Raybert production. When the Monkees are selected by Chic magazine as the typical young Americans of the year, they battle to retain their substance in a world of style. Production notes. Monkees a la mode was filmed in January 1967. Original production notes indicate that the then unissued Goffin and King song So Goes Love, recorded by the Monkees in July 1966, was to have made its debut on this episode's soundtrack. However, Laugh, a track from more of the Monkees, was dubbed in its place at the last moment for reasons unknown. Songs. Number 1, Laugh, Phil Margo, Mitch Margo, Hank Medras, Jay Siegel. Number 2, You Just May Be the One, Michael Nesmith. All right. So here we go. I heard a rumor that the episodes were on Tubi. I don't know if that's true, but you all can find a tube where you can watch them, or pull out your DVDs if you're lucky. And we're going to take a look at this episode, and we'll be right back. See ya.
We watched that.
Oh, that was fun. Actually, okay. I have to say, I like this episode a lot.
Okay.
The thing I remember the most, first of all, the name Monkees a la mode. You know what? It's a good thing that, well, I don't know if it's a good thing, but it's funny that like as a kid watching this on reruns and stuff, like you never see the names of the episodes. Like I had no idea.
I don't think it's anywhere in the show.
Yeah.
And when I was looking at the aforementioned tube where this may exist, there's another episode called Monkees a la carte. And so
Right.
one wonders if someone was hungry.
Yes. And and honestly, as a kid, I would have been like, "There's no ice cream in this episode. I don't understand why it's called."
No, there
Monkees
isn't,
a la
and
mode.
not even coldness. I mean, there is some coldness.
Yeah,
depending metaphorically.
Yeah, and then it made me think of Depeche Mode when I learned that Depeche Mode means fast fashion. I was like, "Ooh, that's fancy."
That's closer, but yeah.
Anyway, Monkees a la mode, and also the first thing I think about when I think about this episode is Rob Roy Fingerhead, which is one of the best names I've ever heard.
So this speaks to like things I think, because I listened to one of the episodes, I think the one with Garen, and I think this came up. There was like a mouthing of his name a couple times.
Yes.
Which that was a fun bit. I didn't hate that bit. Like I didn't understand it, although what's the last name again?
Fingerhead.
So here's what I wonder about that. I didn't look this up, and I probably should have.
Okay.
So there is a last name. I think it's derived from Dutch or German. Fingerhut.
Oh, right.
And you know what Fingerhut means?
Yeah, the cat. Well, no, I just know the catalog where you like rent to own furniture.
So Fingerhut is a thimble.
Oh, that's cute.
And it is cute. And from my understanding, it is a largely Jewish last name from those places. Because there's a whole thing I could go into, but basically Jewish culture really didn't have last names. You were like the son or the daughter of somebody.
Okay.
And then in Germany, or in sort of the Austro-German sort of world, at one point, one of the kings said, "No, we got to collect taxes and you got to have a last name." And so what a lot of Jewish people would do is they would pick a city that they lived in and make that be their last name, or they'd pick their job and they'd have that be their last name. And so I think Fingerhut is one of those, but I'm not 100% certain
that's
of that.
Cool.
But so one wonders if Fingerhead was somebody taking the piss out of
Fingerhut, possibly
out of a Fingerhut person. Not necessarily with a Jewish relation, not like an Semitic type thing, but like maybe there's a famous Fingerhut photographer.
Maybe.
Who is,
that's interesting.
But let's admit this character was a dick.
Yes, he's awful. Just right off the bat. So we have this weird cold open, and I did not realize this woman's name, the editor. So we're in this magazine office or whatever for Chic magazine.
Yep.
And there's like studio. They're doing photography like right there in the office, which seems like a poor use of space. I don't know if that's
it was a melange of things in that room. This is not Devil Wears Prada type production values or whatever.
No, but we do have a very the typical editor in chief of Madame Quagmire, which was hilarious
giggity
to me. Exactly. I swear, I was like, I'd never heard that name. I thought I had never heard that name until our beloved Fox animated show. But apparently, I've seen this episode multiple times. I did not realize her name was Madame Quagmire.
Now, let me ask you a question about Madame Quagmire. I thought she was the owner.
No, she's the editor.
Okay, fair enough. But to me, she reigned supreme in a way that made me feel like she was unimpeachable. And this will come up later in the episode. When we talk about things that happen.
Yeah.
Or don't.
End. Yeah. Okay. We'll talk about that ending. That's weird. I'd forgotten about that ending, honestly. All right. So she's wearing a beautiful like black and white hat with a matching collar.
Sure. I did notice that it's like a checker hat.
Yeah,
right?
checkered. Yeah.
Sure.
It was lovely. I very much enjoyed it.
Fashion. I bought that. I bought fashion.
And so she's asking for candidates for the Young American issue, something fresh, right? And Rob Roy Fingerhead, he's wearing glasses. I don't remember what he's wearing, but I know he always
like a very stylish, like I want to say a gray suit, perhaps.
Yeah.
Sure.
And he's got
everybody in the room is stylish. They
glasses.
They're stylish in the way. There's something about this episode, which I assume is relatively true of all the episodes, that reminds me a lot of the 70s Batman.
Oh, there was a Batman reference last episode. They did a Batman parody.
Interesting. but like there's everything is kind of blown out and kind of like that high color comic book version with limited palette and that kind of thing.
Right.
Which is fine. I like that. That was I found a third thing. Go ahead.
Yeah, those two, I feel like I watched these shows. I like they came like on after each other. They're very much intertwined in my brain. Monkees and Batman. They're like this, not the same show, but I mean, for the longest time, I had like a false memory that Batman showed up on the Monkees, and he never did. But I could have sworn that he did.
I want to take a small tangent.
Go ahead.
And have you ever? What's the Oh, I had it a second ago. Have you ever watched the original Avengers?
Yes, my older sister was obsessed with that show, and so yes, I did see episodes. My older sister loved that show.
All right. It is hard to find now. I don't know where it is. I encourage you to watch it again, because if you like this show, the Avengers was the British version of Batman.
I'm sure. I remember it being very elegant and very stylish.
It's super elegant, like very dry humor.
Yes.
But also absurd in a lot of ways. Like when they had their meetings with their version of Q, they would be in these very strange places.
Oh, okay.
Like in a bubble floating in water, or like real weird stuff. And awesome. I think that it, to the extent that the production is interesting, I think it holds up. It's probably sexist.
Oh, well, yeah.
I think that's pretty easy. There might be some racism in there that I'm not, I don't recall. But as far as the rest of the show, I think, and it's sexist, but the main female character is very much, there's like three different ladies, but they all are very much in control of their agency.
Yeah.
So there's a balance there, I think. But it's a very, if you like the 70s Batman, you would like the Avengers, I think.
You're like my Netflix recommendation.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Yeah, my sister obsessed with Emma Peel. Like, loved it. And you know, XTC, my other favorite band, their video for Mayor of Simpleton is basically like a play on the Avengers.
So, ooh, I did not know that.
Yeah, it's lovely. Complete with the weird sexism part.
All right, fair.
Which look, now,
what's his name? McNee. And I don't remember the character name.
Steed.
Steed, yeah. Never wore tight leather pants, to the best of my knowledge. So so fair. So you're 100% right.
Yeah.
And he could have. I mean, he's essentially James Bond.
Right.
With an umbrella.
He seemed a little bit older. I like that he was like older. That was kind of cool to me. I don't know. All right. Back to the Monkees. Okay. So the Young America issue, Rob Roy Fingerhead suggests some people that Madam Quagmire does not care for. I don't know why. And
I don't know why either. It seemed like he is a professional at this point in the story. I'm assuming that Rob is a professional who knows what he's doing.
Right.
I have no reason to believe otherwise yet.
I don't know why she poo-pooed his suggestions. They seemed perfectly in line with what she wanted, ultimately.
Yep.
But then, here comes young. Oh no, I didn't write down her name. What is her name? Toby?
Oh, you know what? I didn't either, but I didn't write down his name either, to be fair.
Well, I know his name. Toby something.
Yeah.
Oh, where did it go? I have it somewhere.
So here's my note about her. She seems stoned.
Oh, I just think she's not a very good actress.
and that may very well be. I mean, honestly, it's kind of hard to tell in this show. I would need to see her in something else. But because maybe that was what she was told to do. But I got an Ugly Betty vibe.
I've never seen Ugly Betty.
Oh, you should. It's very good.
My best friend was watching it last night. I was bothering him, texting him. He's like, "I'm watching Ugly Betty." I'm like, "Okay, I'm sorry."
It's to me, it's of its era. It's probably it's the reason why America. I forget her last name.
Ferrara?
Yes. Like her career is that, as far as I'm concerned, and it's good.
Okay.
It's good.
Oh yeah, I never heard anything bad about it. I just
and it's also very stylish.
Okay. Oh, that's right. This was based on that, like Mexican, or was it Spanish? Or because I remember there were so many.
Oh, that's
other
right. There's
shows.
a telenovela. I think it's based on.
Betty La Fea, and I was like, that's a horrible name for a show. I remember thinking, why would you call something Betty La Fea?
And I assume La Fea. I do not speak enough Spanish.
It means the ugly. Basically means ugly
right.
Betty.
Yeah. By the way, I blame my junior high school guidance counselor for not advising me to take Spanish. I took French instead.
Oh, see, I wanted to take French in junior high, and there was no French available, so I had to take Spanish.
Here's the thing. You didn't grow up in Los Angeles and Southern California.
But I did grow up in California.
Yeah, but if I may, there are many more opportunities in Los Angeles to speak Spanish.
True. Oh, yeah. I'm pretty sure that's probably why the school decided we're just going to teach Spanish to these children in California. Although, like an Asian language would have been nice, actually. But maybe that was, I don't know.
Or German or Russian. I guess Russian wouldn't have happened.
No. But it would have been nice to learn Vietnamese or something. Jeez. That would have been
Chinese,
cool.
Japanese.
Right.
Japanese. I would have really liked to know Japanese.
One of my other friends speaks Japanese. He speaks French and Japanese. I kind of hate him.
Well, if you learn them early enough. Anyway.
Yeah, he just he just travels and like, oh, I can speak, he figures out how to communicate with anybody, which is awesome. I wish I had the strength and the mind to commit to learning more than well, anyway. Yeah. I can say excuse me in Swedish, so I've got that going. Okay, so we're still in the cold open, everybody. Okay, so so she suggests, I've been taking pictures. I've met these boys, and she's got these huge, like, glossy 8x10s of the Monkees, and something fresh, something new. And then Rob Roy calls them long-haired weirdos. And then
I have a question.
Yes.
So at this point, we're still in season 1 of this show, right?
Yes, we are. Episode 24.
Okay. Right, close to the end of the season, one imagines. 26 or 30 episodes.
Oh,
right?
Gosh, no, they worked these people to death.
More than 26?
There were 30.
Okay.
32.
Okay, that's still in the, if you said 50, I would have freaked out. But 32, given that it was the 60s, I think that makes sense.
Okay, yeah.
So, although that does explain some things. But here's my question about the Monkees. At this point, where are they in their career as a musical band, according to the story?
According to the story, they never make it. The story, the reality of the Monkees TV show reality is they are a struggling band, and they will always be a struggling band, and they never make it. And that's part of the reason why I really love it. So
then in 1967, the fact that there would be glossy photos of them is almost ridiculous, because that would have cost them $10,000.
Well, I assume that Toby has done this. Toby has gone out and forced Rob Roy to take these pictures.
No, because he's never met them before.
Oh, shit. You're right.
So she would have had to take them herself. I mean, I guess it doesn't really cost that much.
Maybe
but to have those kind of photos, to have glossy photos, because for me in 1980 to get headshots, this was, it was 1980. No, it was a little later than that. It was let's call it 1990. To get headshots did cost me $300.
Holy shit. Yeah.
And that's what those kind of photos were. Like, they weren't just some photos. They were well lit and all this kind of stuff. So yeah.
Yeah. I remember that was a big deal. I remember in college when, like, my friends were like, I'm going to get headshots. We're like, ooh, it's a big deal to get headshots.
By the way, I was 10 in 1980, so I don't know why I said 1980.
It's okay. It's okay. Nobody's doing the math. If you are doing the math, you are a weird person. And
I've given all the clues, though. So it is possible.
Yeah, figure it out. When was Eliot born? Okay.
Dun, dun, dun. So, no, I actually said I was born in 1970. So
that's right. You already did.
That's the clue I'm talking about.
You blow it. Everybody's on to you. Next, they'll figure out your social security number, and it's over. Okay, so we have the opening. Beautiful. The first season opening, which is different from the second season opening, and I can't wait to get to the second season opening.
By the way, I was a little confused because there was like a scene change, I guess, that I've written down bad Photoshop, which is their faces cut out against colors.
Oh, that's the closing credit pictures,
right? But what I watched had it, I assume, where the commercials would be, or transitions between scenes. So
I think that was a bit. I think that was a recurring bit.
Fair enough. So because I don't think we do we hit the opening yet? Yeah,
we did right after I think we did, didn't we?
No, because
I have a line cut here. No, because it has to.
No, it didn't though, because we cut to them.
Yeah, we cut.
They're eating at a very tiny table.
Yeah, and they're in the pad.
Right, and because when they did the opening, then we talk about Kellogg's.
Yes, it leads into yes, you're right. We are not at our opening yet. We're wrong.
Not. That's okay. I'm glad I took notes. I wasn't going to. I'm glad I did.
That's so weird to have two scenes before the opening.
I don't know, because I didn't watch another episode, but it did feel weird to me.
That is weird. All right. Yes, you're right. So we cut straight to the boys having breakfast at their little table. I noticed, did you notice the cups of Kool-Aid? Another sponsor, Kool-Aid. For breakfast.
No, I did not know. I didn't notice Kool-Aid.
Yes. Mm-mm. Anytime there is a beverage that is not water on the episode of the Monkees, it is Kool-Aid.
Oh, yeah.
So there's a Chic magazine, or there's a magazine on the doorstep.
Right.
And Mickey is pouring a bowl of cornflakes, and the cornflakes, the name of is so prominent on the bottom of the box, and it made me want to check, is the name of the cereal on the bottom of the box like that?
Wow, I didn't notice that. I was to be fair, I watched this at very, very, very late at night or early in the morning, depending on how you look at it.
Yeah, I saw when you emailed me. I was like, "What is Eliot doing?"
Oh yeah, but I didn't pick up on it until they blatantly said it, which is coming.
Right? Yeah, totally. Yeah. So I was like, "Oh, look at the product placement," and they're looking at the magazine, and Mike's making fun of the magazine, reading stuff that's not there because Davey says, "You must be kidding me." I'm sure I got that wrong because that is one of his catchphrases.
Okay. Very good. And by the way, up until this point, I'm still pretty much on board with everything that's happening, honestly.
Okay,
I liked the little banter that he like the fakie of what's in the thing that was very Beatles, which is what they're going for, and I enjoyed that. I didn't understand why there was cereal in the magazine.
I don't get because you get special you get special things in magazines and they
cereal though.
I mean that's the good
but they're making fun of it. That's fine.
It's Peter, Peter always has something weird to happen. There was a joke that I did not get. Okay, I do enjoy hearing Davey say little metal bottle tops.
Sure.
It's very funny to me, and I don't know why. I don't know why that's funny, but it is. He says somebody finds there's a letter in here from Madame Quagmire, and Mike guesses, let me guess, the signature's in brown ink. And like, oh, how did you know? What? What's that? What does that mean?
I don't know either. I will say I did at one point as a teenager, I want to say, I did have a fountain pen that had brown ink. Yeah. That doesn't help us in any way. I just know it is a thing. And we don't write in brown ink anymore. So I honestly couldn't tell you. But because it's blue and black now.
Right.
Maybe red.
What does that mean?
Maybe that's like fancy.
I guess maybe brown ink was like a super fancy thing to do in the 60s. I don't get it. And so then it says that, they've asked us to be the typical young Americans of the year. And then that's when they cut to the little, hey, we're the Monkees with the closing credit pictures. Boom, 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 boom.
Yes.
Because look at these goofballs. They're not typical young Americans of the year. Why would they be?
Yeah. I remember that.
And then that's when Peter says, this magazine might be silly and whatever, but they have a new cereal every month. And then like, what is it called? Is it ADR when they do like they like record over? Is that what it's called?
ADR is when the actor redoes their
yeah. Okay. So it sounds like ADR. He's like, this month it's cornflakes because like I don't think that was recorded at the time.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I think that's possible. Yeah. And so in watching the first scene, I had that Batman feel. And watching this scene, I was like, okay, this is kind of like Beatlesy stuff and maybe a little absurd, especially when the cereal comes out of the magazine. And so I'm still like the cold opens. I'm on board. I'm like, all right, I'm getting this idea. They're a little goofy. Peter Tork makes my teeth on edge a little bit.
How dare.
And the only one who feels grounded is Nesmith.
Of course, yeah, because it's Mike. I mean,
and so here's the thing. I wrote down mustache. It turns out that Davy Jones' eyebrows in my head. I had to rewind because I'm like, I'm certain one of them had a mustache. No, it was his eyebrows.
Close up of his eyebrows at the breakfast table. And what I noticed is how like the makeup, I swear, they use like like an eyebrow pencil, but it doesn't match his natural color.
Yeah.
And I'm like, ugh, why didn't they just get a brown? They like try to put this weird charcoal
or not do that. Also,
or just
let him have his eyebrows because his eyebrows are fairly substantial on their own, I think.
Right, but
because I took a moment to there were on the tube that will not be named. There was to the side of that there was the what's it called? The screen tests.
Those are so good.
I didn't watch all 20 minutes of it. But I kind of spot watched, and he has significant eyebrows. Doesn't need any extra makeup. No. There were a bunch of other guys who they might be good actors. Honestly, they just didn't end up. Nesmith stood out. Like to me, he had the right balance of taking things seriously, but also being goofy.
Yes.
Like for me, of the four of them, I like him best.
Oh yeah, that makes perfect sense. You know what? I should have tried to predict like which one you would like the best.
Well, what I will say too is later on, I made a note that he also reminds me of, although not exactly, but do you ever watch The Magicians?
No, I never. No. I
Ooh,
never
it's
did.
if you like a magic-y type, if you want, I think it's been described as Harry Potter for grown-ups, although
Ah.
maybe 30-year-olds is the kind of growth they're talking about. But anyway, although I enjoy it, there's a character in there named Elliot who
Oh.
has sort of similar stature, but also I feel like a similar energy, although way more sarcastic.
Interesting.
Anyway, for those who have watched both of these things, they may appreciate that reference.
Of course. All right. Yes. I know it's very popular. I just never. There's so many things I don't watch. Because I'm busy watching the Monkees. Woo! All right. So, and we get, and then this version, this link that I sent you, you get to see the little Kellogg's commercial, which I totally forgotten about. With the car, you got to see your car again.
Yep. So presumably that was in the original show.
Yes.
That was kind of the point of it. And each one of them had like their own cereal that was associated with them because that's the kind that they like, or that represents their, philosophy or something. I don't remember who was who. Was Special K Mike?
There was no Special K. In the commercial, I don't know. I wrote down the closing credits one though. The one of the closing credits. I wrote
because each one of them had a little like somebody. And as somebody who does like titles and Photoshop and stuff like that, and I've done it long enough that I just barely overlap with paste up from the way that people used to have to do it before computers, because my mom did that for a living.
Oh, okay.
That was a lot of effort to put those freaking things into their titles, because they would have had to make a copy of the title thing and then like redo the film with the overlay.
Oh, wow.
And I don't know whether they did it with a transparency like you would do with animation. Probably was that, or with a matte. Either way, that was maybe 4 hours of somebody's time to do that.
Dang, they were throwing money at these boys. Okay.
Yeah. Well, the sponsor paid for it, one imagines.
That's true. But yeah, I remember being delighted when I saw that. I was like, oh, look at that. They put the boxes next to their faces. They do it again with there's like a cologne that like sponsors some episodes too. And they put like little cologne boxes next to them. All right. So we're done with the opening credits and the Kellogg commercial. Yeah. And then we're back to
Fingerhead.
Rob Roy Fingerhead is so rude. He just barges into the apartment, looking around disdainfully, and announces they won't do.
Right. And to me, like, so I'm a videographer. I'm not a cinematographer. I don't think that highly of myself, but I've taken photographs. I've worked with photographers before. And to me, their apartment is great for photographs.
Right. Like, there's so much in there.
There's so much in there. And you could take a picture, even if you didn't like the look of their face, you could focus away from it, and they've got a view, which there's no way they could afford that. So somebody's totally. Relative has given them that place, if anything. And by the way, I don't think we ever see any other room except for that room, but there's got to be like 6 other rooms in that place.
Yes, there is a layout you can find online.
Okay, fair enough.
Sometimes you can see the you'll see the bedroom. You'll see the upstairs. Oh wait, and then once we saw the downstairs bedroom.
Okay.
So I know we've seen the upstairs bedroom and the downstairs bedroom, and we've gone out on that patio, but that's it. Just that big room.
But like, that's a really big room. They've got a lot of stuff in there. One of the things they have, the bat phone.
Oh yeah, they do.
Because he goes and he picks up the glass.
Yes,
and messes with it at one point.
Phone under glass. I forgot about that.
Yep. So there's your Batman connection again.
I forgot about that. I'm so used to that being there.
How did you feel about the moment where Fingerhead is stepping on Peter's hand?
I hate that bit. I hate that bit so much.
Now you tell me what that bit is, because I know what I think it was, and I don't want to say it.
Oh, okay. Well, oh boy. Okay. Now I'm trying to think what you're going to say, and I don't like it.
Well, there was a hammer involved.
I know. Elliot. Hold on. Let's just back up to my version.
Okay. Yes.
So there is this constant bit that I feel like I've seen in cartoons, and I see it in the Monkees a lot, where somebody walks up to somebody and they're like, "Oh no, why are you upset?" And it's like, "Because you're standing on my foot." That's like a common bit. So I felt like
100%.
This was a play on that. Like, why do you have this pained expression? Because you're standing on my hand. But then I noticed the freaking hammer. No, Elliot, no.
Okay. Again, I will allow the audience to make their own presumptions, or perhaps watch the episode and make their own decisions. But that was because that happened before the hand bit.
Yes.
And so one wonders if there is perhaps some slight homophobia going on, or if they're just making a gender joke. But yeah.
I did notice them. Okay, so
you're welcome.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, thank you. Toby Willis, I think, as I wrote down her name. Toby.
Very good.
Toby Willis.
I accept.
So she, but and Rob Roy's like, oh wait, no. She says, "Oh, we want to know what you are and the way you live." And then Davey says, "You want to get us arrested?" It's just cute. We have a little Stan Freberg reference with the "Don't do that" from episode 3.
Okay, I don't know that one.
Stan Freberg was in episode 3, and he said, "Don't do that," and the Monkees use that as a running bit. For the rest of the series.
Fair enough.
Saying, "Don't do that."
So that's interesting and unusual, I want to say, for a TV show, even a comedy, even a series, so they would have had to kind of show the shows in order in a way, wouldn't they?
Yeah. Well, yeah, totally.
Which is not universally true.
But yeah.
So they have inside bits that build up over time. That's something that I could not gather from just watching one episode. So there may be a bunch of stuff that I just didn't understand because it's episode 24.
So much. I mean, they pretty much stand on their own, but not stand on their own. I guess, I don't know. I still kind of watch this with the mindset of a 9-year-old, where I'm just like, okay, that's a thing that was said, and I don't.
Well, it's interesting that you say that, because I have a note towards the end after I watched the whole thing that says, "Was this directed and written by a 9-year-old?"
Yes,
because there is, and it hasn't quite happened yet. But as the show progresses, like when a 9-year-old tells you a story that they've either made up or it's a version of a thing that happened, but with other things, like, so there. What is the show? There's Dino Cop? No, what is it? There's an animated show that is very specifically
Axe
Cop. That is very specifically like an 8 or 9-year-old and their parent have written these shows, and that is extremely entertaining, even though it makes absolutely no sense most of the time.
Yeah.
So I'll give this show that it kind of feels like that, but it wasn't what I was expecting. I was expecting the Beatles.
Yeah. No, this is a show for children. Yeah, this is clearly a show. Yeah.
Well, but you would think it would be aimed at teenagers,
right? But it didn't. It just under. Definitely
fair.
preteen.
Fair.
All right. So, excuse me. Yeah. So Peter is copying Rob Roy Fingerhead walking around doing that hand thing. Yeah. Which is like international. I'm about to take a photograph. I'm trying to visualize. It took me ages to figure out what that was. It was just something people did on TV. But it's like you're framing things up, right?
That's right. And it is a thing that people like videographers and cinematographers are shown as doing that as well. And professionally, you get made fun of most of the time if you do that.
Of course. Use your eyeballs.
Yeah, you can't. You need, really? Why don't you bring a camera with you then? Or one of those little lensy things, which I'm sure there's a name of that I should know, but I've never used one.
But it's TV shorthand for I'm a photographer.
Yes. This man is not a photographer. I'm just going to say it. There's nothing about the way that he is doing his job that says he's a photographer to me. Except for maybe a 9-year-old might think that's what a photographer is.
Yeah, a photographer stands around and does that thing with their hands and then says, "This is no good," and then leaves. All right, so we get to some fun cutaways, everybody. Oh, but Peter shows him a picture of a cow, though. There's a moo.
I mean, that was a cute drawing of a cow that a 9-year-old could have done.
And there's a moo in the background.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. That's fine.
And so Davey says, but this apartment, this house has historical significance. And he stands on a table and pulls an axe out of the lamp.
Now, Tekurah, at the top of this show, we established that you love the Monkees and this show. And here is where the show lost me.
There's an axe in the lamp.
Which, even for these guys, makes zero sense. And clearly a rubber plastic axe. And like it's so hard to I watch children's cartoons. I have watched them as an adult, and there are many that I can watch and they are still enjoyable. I like Steven Universe as an example. I think it's a fantastic show and everyone should watch it no matter your age, but it's designed for 10 tweens kind of thing. The jokes and the cutaways hurt me in parts of my psyche that I did not know could be injured.
All right, everybody, I'm going to tell you why these cutaways are so good. Okay.
Yes, please explain. Please educate me, because I did not appreciate them.
Okay. So Davey takes an axe out of a lamp, which I if you're not on board for that, then I guess, yeah, there's no
tough.
Yeah, there's no going further.
Tell the audience, please.
And he says, well, this is very historical.
Oh boy.
Axe. And then it cuts to somebody like chopping on like the legs of a table with the axe. Mm-hmm.
We could not afford to get a tree, so we did everything in this particular set that we had.
Well, they spent all the money putting Kellogg's corn
maybe
on the screen.
It could be.
So and then Mike walks up in like a lovely colonial outfit.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Corner hat. I'm not sure.
The costumes were fine.
And he says, George, who does he say? Who's chopped up or why? I can't remember, but chopping up my table.
Mm-hmm. Or stool. I think it was a stool. Yeah.
But I think he says it's a stool, but I think he says table, which
okay.
Could
be a little table. Given that their breakfast table is about 16 inches in diameter.
You got to get shot.
Maybe it could be a table.
And then adorable Peter pops up and says, search me. Okay. It is adorable. Okay, that one's not as good as the second one, but
I agree with that.
Peter is so
cute.
It
is a spectrum.
Peter is so cute. He's put on, what does he call it? Mike used to call it his Cupid doll face or his cutie pie face or something. Anyway, That's the face that Peter would put on to play dumb Peter. So that's adorable. And then Mickey walks, so we cut back to present time. Mickey walks over to the fridge and pulls out
a lantern. In your refrigerator. Excuse me, gentlemen. I understand that you may not be able to afford a full refrigerator of food, and therefore there is space there. But have you noticed that you live in a 25 by 25 foot, at least, giant room? You do not have to put the lantern in the refrigerator, please, sir.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, I'm laughing so hard. I have a fan. I'm fanning myself because I have heated up from laughing. All right. So, but it's a great, if the axe.
But it's absurd. It's absurd. And I honestly.
Lamp,
yeah, fair enough.
The lantern is in the fridge.
Fair enough. And I wasn't on board with the axe and the lamp. So therefore, the lantern in the fridge doesn't work for me. But I can see the consistency, and that's fine.
A heightening. It's a height. Come on, improv boy. It's a heightening.
Sure.
Okay. So, I'm sorry I called you improv boy. That was really mean.
I am improv boy.
All right. And so he takes the lantern out of the fridge and he says, he sets it up so well. He says, like, would you believe this lantern? And then they immediately cut to,
no, I wouldn't, by the way.
I know, that's why it's so good.
And that's fine. Honestly, that's fine. Given the premise, I don't begrudge them the setup. That's fine.
And then it cuts to Mickey, who is on something. We can't see it. It's supposed to be a horse.
It's supposed to be a horse.
And it
is not a horse, but it's supposed to be a horse.
He's like Paul Revere.
Yeah.
And he's miming that he's on a horse, but there's a tree right next to him.
Sure.
So he's not.
That is not moving.
Anywhere.
He's not going anywhere. Nope. No, it is not. And I want to. It's occurring to me now. I want to make it very clear that Laugh-In had very similar bits.
Oh yeah, this is very Laugh-In. Yes,
it is very Laugh-In. Laugh-In is barely funny today.
Yeah.
I don't think that they reached that level.
Wow. Okay. So he's yelling about the British are coming.
Sure.
And he's not going, and the lighting is really good. It's kind of like a purpley, pinky blue light.
Yeah, it could be like, early morning kind of a Paul Revere doing his business.
And then Davy is there as the red coat with this huge gun. I don't know my guns.
I honestly think that probably is relatively accurate. I mean, I wouldn't stake my non-weapon reputation on it, but I think it's close. It's pretty close.
And he's just eyeballing Mickey. Mm-hmm. As Mickey is droning on, and Davey
uncomfortably so, yes,
doesn't say a word and just cocks the gun. Click.
Yep.
And Mickey sputters out like, "The British are coming to my house for a party?
Man, I wonder if on paper this seems funny.
But watch it again and just watch Davy. It's friggin' Davy is a genius in this scene.
All right.
His face never changes. He's just eyeballing him and then just cocks the gun. And it's a little scary. I mean, just like low key, it's a little bit scary. And I think that's the Davy that like would later go on to, well, maybe he already did. Let's check the timeline. No, I think that's the Davy that will go on to, or maybe he already did, that headbutted Peter at some point in the recording studio.
Oh boy.
That's the Davy.
Interesting. All right.
That look.
Fair enough.
Anyway, I love that scene just because Davy is so freaking little tiny Davy is so menacing.
Yeah, he does have the gun.
And he is so good. Okay. So, all right. So we cut back and Rob-Roy Fingerhead leaves in a huff. He's very upset.
Yeah.
And Mike says to Toby, we're no good. There's typical young Americans. I don't know if there's such a thing. The whole concept is dumb. And
now we're grounded again.
Yeah.
Right.
So Mike brings us back down.
Sure.
And Toby says, well, you don't understand the industry. This is good for your career. Please meet. And then she fucks up her line, but they keep going.
Oh yeah. I think I did catch that.
Come to the office at 9 tomorrow. And and then they say, and then they all kind of leave the shot weirdly. I mean, at least Mickey follows his lantern off. But and then Davy is like, well, fellas, what have we got to lose? And then it cuts to Mickey and Peter shirtless and Mike holding up a giant black shirt from somewhere. And it says, our shirts. Boom.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you need a little beefcake.
No, not for preteen girls. No, I did not.
I don't know. I honestly don't know why that happened.
I don't either.
I mean, the joke is fine and I don't have a problem with it, except it's bad. But it's, we just had 2 really bad jokes. So now that's what I'm expecting from the rest of this episode.
Oh, boy.
Right.
And I'll tell you, 9-year-old me was like, ugh.
Oh, fair. Because 50-year-old me also was like, ugh.
But now I'm like, not bad.
All right. Fair enough. But
appreciate it now. But
I mean, there's nothing wrong with them. They're perfectly fine young men.
Right.
I didn't see anything that was like gross or whatever. But it's just like, why did that happen?
Yeah. Totally weird, I think. I don't know. I mean, because you're trying to appeal. The fact that they're hairless, which is probably why first of all, I don't think Mike would take off his shirt.
Oh.
But secondly,
interesting.
Mike is definitely hairier than the other boys. So the hairlessness kind of follows with the appealing to preteen girls.
Well, and they're supposed to be like, how old are they supposed to be?
They're their 20? Ages. They're 20. Yeah. They're
okay. How old is Mike though?
Like 21, 22 or something.
Okay.
He's older, but not that much older.
Okay. And I will say that up until this point, like the beats of the story still pretty much make sense. Like I was a little confused because I thought that Fingerhead was coming there to actually take photos.
Yeah.
So I had to kind of reorient myself to go, oh no, he's just scoping these people out just to see what they're like.
I don't know. Maybe
which was weird, but not crazy. Okay. I could figure that out. So up until this point, I'm following the plot. Continue.
Okay. All right. So we cut back to Chic publishing house or whatever.
Yeah.
And we're ready for another Peter is a dummy joke where Madam Q is saying, oh, that's the most unrealistic dummy I've ever seen. And then Peter pops in, hi, we're the Monkees. She's like, ugh. What did she say? I retract my comment or something.
Something like that.
Yeah. Peter's always the dummy. And he's like, oh, we're here for the typical young people. And then we cut to the, hey, we're the Monkees with the closing images again. And
just to remind us, they are not typical young people.
Oh no, they're wacky. Have you seen those hats they wear? Crazy.
Yeah.
Another interesting thing is that I knew the Monkees. Oh no, I knew of the Beatles, but I didn't realize how much the Monkees ripped off of the Beatles until much later. Like I didn't know those pictures in the closing credits were just basically the Beatles did the exact same thing before.
Yeah, but they use more color and stuff like that.
Of course, right. Yeah. But yeah, I had no idea. I was like, oh no, that's terrible. That's kind of embarrassing.
That's the whole point. That's why they put these guys together.
Yeah, I know that, but I didn't think they would copy their photo shoots. You know what I mean? I was like, you don't have to copy their photo shoot, Anyway.
A lot of bands did, to be fair.
Okay.
It wasn't just the Monkees. A lot of bands, once the Beatles were big, anytime a band is big,
yeah, you're right.
Other bands, some of them will do it, honestly or naturally because like, oh, they did it, well, we should do it, and then there'll be some cynical folks who will do it because they want to make money.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, but
I don't begrudge them that.
Yeah,
I don't begrudge them that.
Yeah, I was just part of me was like, oh. All right, so there's some dialogue here that's not really fun, so I'm not gonna repeat it to you. And then ladies, introduce yourself. So I guess this is the writing staff, or
the first time we've met these people. Yeah. No idea why they're there because I thought Toby was doing all the work.
Right. So, but I kind of love them, and I wish we'd seen more of them because
I wish I knew what they were going for with these.
That was my question too. I was like, is this a reference to something? So
it's got to be because they're all talking about where they went to college, which I assume is a thing that people make fun of from somewhere, and I can't pull the reference.
But they speak in that.
It's a very Eastern
accent,
United States type thing. It's very very proper and grammatically strong.
Their last name, Miss de Lesseps, their alma mater, and the year, and it's beautiful. And then
it's got to be a parody of something because if it's not, it's I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, but it delights me. I kind of love it.
Okay, and I support your liking those characters in something where they matter.
I just think they're fun, and they sure. And then Mike says Eagle Scout 1961, and then the Monkees,
which was fine,
shake hands and introduce themselves to each other.
Which, by the way, they cut that bit short.
Oh, they did?
The handshake bit, not.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah,
not in the edit, but just like they didn't give it. They didn't give it enough. It needed, first of all, for somebody to offer to shake hands, and then we watched them do the dumb bit. Like we only saw like 3 seconds of the dumb bit, and then they cut away.
Yeah,
I want to see the rest. That was actually potentially the right kind of bit for this to me.
Okay,
that's an absurd thing that's very Beatlesy.
Yes,
it's very fun.
Very, yeah.
And then could have led to some other physical comedy with shaking hands with the lady and messing around with Quagmire's environment or whatever, and they didn't really explore that, and I was a little bummed that it kind of got short shifted. Short shrift. Yeah. Short shrift. Yeah. Shrift.
I don't know what a shrift is, but that's the phrase. So and then we go to the sexual harassment where Mickey just leaps right onto one of them, speaking fake French. Peter,
uncomfortable.
Peter just talks to the lamp,
which had cherubs, and there was a weird, like, did he make sexual comments to the cherubs?
No, I don't think he did. I think he just said, "Oh, how long have you two known each other?" or something. I don't think he comes on to the lamp. I think he's just.
But talking. it's still vaguely sexual because, like, how long have you two known each other? Like,
that's not sexual. You're
no, but it was in context.
I guess juxtaposed with what Mickey is doing. I see what you're. Yeah,
it's his version of that.
Okay.
Which, by the way, is completely innocent. I agree with you that the character is innocent of what he's doing. He's just trying to emulate what the other guys are up to.
Yes. So Peter is talking to a cherub lamp. And then Mike gets Texas. He gets some country music so that he gets to talk about being from Texas. And the woman is very rude to him about being from Texas, which is strange. And then Davey. Oh, what do you look for in a girl? It depends on what I've lost. Oh, that's a good one.
You know what? I had to rewind that because I couldn't understand what he said at first.
Oh, well, yeah.
But it is a good line.
Accent. That's a good line.
It's a good line. I agree. It's a good line.
Oh, that's a good one, Davey. Kudos to you, Davey. All right.
But that whole scene was very uncomfortable for me.
Yeah, it's weird.
And it sticks out. But I guess from a plot perspective, it kind of came a little bit out of left field. But sure, you might have researchers, but then would that be how it would handle? And let me also say, I thought they had very nice suits on.
Yes, I did write down those gray suits. They look good.
They look good. Suits. And you're in a fashion magazine. This to me is like the writer's missing an opportunity to be like, because either they should come in with no style, which is what they kind of should have done, right? Because here are these guys that the magazine's going to do stuff to them. So let's be as much the Monkees as possible without stylish suits. Because they have no money too. So how do they have stylish suits?
They have a wardrobe. It's unexplained.
Fair enough.
So many outfits.
Either they come in looking just like their apartment, and then there's an opportunity for these ladies to go, I can't believe you're wearing that in summer or whatever, right?
Right.
Like giving them a hard time would be good. Or acknowledge that, how do you have such nice suits?
Right.
Either of those things would have been perfect for those characters and is a totally missed opportunity. And I'm thinking about that because I'm like, that makes no sense that they're coming in here and they're dressed that nicely.
I feel like what they are wearing is rarely, if ever, commented on because they frankly had designers designing outfits for them on this show.
And good for them.
And so I feel like to call that out would you're right, would ruin the whole we're a band that never made it.
But how fun would it be if one of them said, yeah, my aunt gave these to us for Christmas.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, they could acknowledge. Yeah, you're right. They could acknowledge it.
So to me, it's a Chekhov's gun situation. Why are they in such nice suits?
Because the boys have to look good. The boys have to look good.
They were definitely tailored very nicely.
Yes.
I'm not going to argue that point.
I enjoyed their, and then they take Peter out of his nice suit and put it in one of the ugliest shirts I've ever seen. I don't understand this shirt. It's like got blue things on it. It's so gross. Anyway,
okay.
This is a bad bit. I don't care for this bit where he's up against there's like a column. And
again, not a photographer.
Rob Roy
not
is
a photographer.
I know, but this is a TV photographer. This is what TV photographers do. And movie photographers in the 60s, especially, apparently spent a lot of time posing their models. I've never seen this happen in real life where a photographer walks up to model and just like manhandles them.
Well, but here's the thing, though. They're not models and they're not supposed to be models. They're the typical American kids.
Yeah, but Rob Roy hates them. So, he's going to take
right. So he's not going to do anything good. And by the way, don't know why, but although maybe I do in a way because
they're long-haired weirdos.
Well, because just Peter. But but the idea that I guess maybe I don't think this is a modern thing. I feel, although this was the 60s, not the 70s, so maybe something changed. But like my feeling was that photography was more about capturing, in the 70s anyway, was capturing the essence of the person rather than the other way around, unless you were a model.
I see. Okay.
So it confused me because I'm like, I guess he's trying to make them models. Okay, fair enough. But I agree with you. That scene didn't make a lot of sense and it was weird.
Yeah. What is the point of the story? What is the point of this photo shoot?
Yeah. What story are you trying to tell?
Young Americans. But
to me, the photographer is going, all right, let's see what I've got. All right, how can I make you interesting? Like that's the story that I was looking for that I did not get from Fingerhead.
Right. Oh, Rob Roy. Anyway, so Peter won't stand up straight, so he pushes him back against tells him to get his shoulders back, and then of course it's the same bit as before. Oh my gosh, I just realized it's a callback sort of to the standing on his hands because now Peter's got a nail in his back.
Yeah, which is terrible, and I felt bad for him.
Yeah, but it's not that funny, and I don't like that one.
Yeah, and this is like a directing thing because if it is supposed to be a callback, not obvious enough.
Yeah, it isn't. Maybe it's just a coincidence, but to me, I mean, it's the same. It's the same.
It is the same bit. I agree.
Same joke. All right, so then we go to Davey. And this one isn't very good either. So again, he's manhandling Davey. Davey's got like a cool shirt that looks like a stained glass window. I kind of like this one, although it's like huge on him. It's so big.
Yes.
While he's swimming.
Now that you say it, I remember that.
And so he's like trying to move him around, and you don't know how to pose. Rob Roy is very upset that these typical young Americans don't know how to pose.
And so let's say that that's his character. He's an idiot because you already don't think that they can do it. So why are you surprised?
Right. He's awful.
Yeah.
Rob Roy is awful. So he finally figures out how to pose him. And he's like, oh, that's great. Don't move. And then somebody comes in. Oh, you have a phone call. And he's like, oh, okay. And he wanders off. And then a girl walks by and drapes her coat over his hand. And Davey takes to camera. What?
So I will say this. If there are listeners who have only ever had cellular phones, there is a part of this that did slightly ring true in that in 1967, if the phone rang, you had to get it.
Oh, yes, you're right. nobody would bring the phone to you.
Because there were no answering machines. Now this is a business, so theoretically, somebody could have taken a message because you would have a professional telephone answering person, probably a woman, who would answer the phone and take a message.
Right.
But if somebody called and you needed to talk to them right then, you would have to do that. Like that was a thing. Whereas today it's a little debatable.
Yeah, I didn't think
even
about
in business.
That. Yeah, he had to leave to get the phone.
So that part made sense, but why? I guess he told Davey not to move, so he didn't move.
And now he's automatically a coat rack to this lady.
Well, because obviously he was a mannequin because the shirt didn't fit.
Oh, you're right. Somebody just put that on there.
Yeah.
Oh boy, that's dumb. All right, and then we cut to Mickey.
You said it.
I know. Well, hey, I will call it. Yeah, there are dumb things on these shows. I know. Mickey, who looks super cool in his like, I don't know what kind of hat that is.
Oh yeah, that was a really nice outfit.
He had
with a big puffy hat and the light blue and white stripes, or the light blue and lighter blue stripes.
Yes, he looks like a what is that motorcycle movie from the time?
Oh, Rebel Without a Cause? No.
The one with like the Fonda, Peter Fonda.
Not
Jack
True
Nicholson.
Grit.
Oh my God, this is awful.
Yeah, now I'm gonna have to hold on. I gotta move things around. We're typing. I know what you're thinking of,
and
the listener knows what this is already.
Yeah, sorry.
But we're going to find it's Easy Rider.
Yes, he looks like something out of Easy Rider to me.
Yeah. Okay, maybe. But I would say more stylish because Easy Rider feels a little grittier than that.
That's true. Right.
But like I almost was expecting that he was going to be uncomfortable, like not feeling the clothes or whatever, that somebody had dressed him.
Right.
And that is not the case.
But he looks super cool. Anyway, I really love that.
I liked it.
And he's just drumming there, tick, 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 tick. And
sure.
I think he's drumming the beginning to one of his songs, Randy Scow Skit is what it sounds like.
Oh,
he's drumming the beginning of.
Wouldn't know that, but
sure. And then Rob Roy Fingerhead is going to teach him how to pair clothes.
Wait a minute, you skipped something.
Well, no. And then he tells him to stop drumming.
Yes, very good. Yes. And how does he do that?
How does he do this?
He pulls out a gun.
There has been a gun, I think, on every single episode of the Monkees.
Look, again, not trying to get political. I think America, guns, we have rules, we can have them. That makes zero sense in this show, especially since it's aimed at kids.
So many guns on the show. I've stopped being shocked at it now because I've watched them so many times for this podcast. And it's just like, oh, well, here's another gun, random gun in the middle of the episode.
And not only that, but I want to say it was a 38 special.
Ooh,
it's this little revolver that is associated with criminals.
Oh, Jesus.
So what's happening here?
It's just in the 60s and then also in the 70s and not so much in the 80s. In the 60s and the 70s, apparently it's very funny to threaten somebody with a gun for no good reason.
I mean, it happens a lot in cartoons.
Yes.
So now, this is where it should have occurred to me earlier than this, but I think it did start to dawn on me that, this is a cartoon.
Yeah.
This is not a live action television show.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. This is a cartoon. This is cartoon logic.
Even when I accepted that. Anyway, so yes, so they're supposed to pick clothes for Mickey.
Right. So Mickey throws away his drumsticks after a gun is pulled on him, but he makes sure to look irritated at the camera, which I thought was funny. He's not scared. He's just irked. And this is a very Bugs Bunny. This is very cartoon. Basically, Mickey is Bugs Bunny in this scene because Rob Roy is talking about, okay, you take blue, you're going to pair it with the brown. And then Mickey is just throwing clothes in the air saying, oh, you take the brown with the gray and the red and the blue. And and it's just cartoon hijinks. And that's basically the scene.
Yeah.
There's not much more to say.
Yep.
Just throwing clothes in the air.
But again, like Fingerhead, brown, blue, and red. What are you doing, dude?
I don't know what he was
doing. That is not a color combination that I've seen work.
And then Mickey grabs his tie and talks about how nice his tie is.
Yeah.
And then we just cut straight to a romp. We're like, we've had enough of this. Let's go to our song.
Right. Okay. So this song felt like, I mean, you'll remind me if there's something that connects it to the story. It feels like it doesn't connect.
Well, they, according to these notes, it was supposed to be a different song, and they just did a different song.
Right. And it was a little bit of a clip show, I felt like.
Yes. A lot of that's basically what they do in these episodes. It's just, let's watch the boys be wacky. will involve some of the main characters and some of the plot. But, you know, if we need to cut to them on the beach, we'll cut to them on the beach.
Sure. And you know what? That's fine. But the song really didn't do much for me.
Yeah, it's a weird song. You know, I like the song much more now as an adult. But as a kid, anytime you would like fake laugh in a song, I hated it. It was like cringe to me. Yeah. Ho, ho, ho. Like, don't do that. People don't laugh like that. Don't do that. Yeah. It used to really bother me. So, but it's a perfectly fine song. It doesn't bother me so much anymore.
I did, as if I had just watched that by myself, I would have been like, oh, this is music videos before music videos.
Exactly.
Fair enough. Although the red scuba gear was weird to me, but okay, it's look, Yellow Submarine, whatever. I'm kind of getting that. So fair enough. I didn't really have a problem with it.
Basically, this is what I believe happened. Basically, they would just film the boys doing random stuff, and then they would just cut it together in the episodes as needed. You know.
I have a note here, cut neck.
Oh, yes. I noticed that too for the very first time. And I don't remember when that is. But okay, I want to talk about some of the stuff that's going on in this little romp. Okay, first of all,
very good.
We have the doors bit where the boys are going back and forth along this
Scooby-Doo.
Yes, very Scooby-Doo. But this
and a lot of stuffed animals for some reason.
It's not a hallway like Scooby-Doo. It's just like there's one door on the one side and then they walk along and then there's another door on the other side. It's like there's
and
a
is
railing.
This in their apartment or is this
this has got to be at Chic.
Okay,
magazine.
Fair enough.
And the photographer is like trying to take pictures of them and they're just playing with props. They would just like come out one door with a giant prop, walk across and then go in the door. And then somebody would come out with a different prop. So there's a lot of tiger wrestling. There's like a chimp. There's a chicken. They're dressed in tuxedos.
The tuxedos were and I have a note later where somebody must have said, how else can we use the tuxedos?
Oh yeah. The tuxedos are used so often.
Yeah.
So there's the giant scissors, which Peter does a cute little dance with the giant scissors that I enjoy. And then there's like shots of them playing poker, but the shots are like through a chandelier. We can see Rob Roy aiming his camera.
I did not understand. I mean, I guess that's supposed to be like what people think artistic people are like. I guess
that's very 60s. That's very 60s. Remember, like in the 70s too, there was a lot of like weird focusing, like, oh, we're gonna shoot this through the tree, and it's like, ooh, it's out of focus and looks bad. No,
very film school type stuff, really. But fair enough. I didn't. I was like, all right, sure. That's probably something that people think people do.
Yeah. Then the wetsuits come back, which were actually used for the Batman parody in the previous episode. The wetsuits were used.
Yeah.
Davey looking very handsome with his wet hair slicked back in his wetsuit. Very handsome.
I won't argue with you.
It's great. I mean, it looks really good. There's like trampoline. They're jumping, which slow motion trampoline jumping.
Sure.
That's a common photography
thing.
And then like throwing stuff at them, like something furry lands on Mike's head at some point. I still don't know what it is.
I don't remember that part.
It's very strange.
Yeah, right.
The chicken comes back, and I'm like, are they throwing chickens? What's happening in this episode?
Yeah, I didn't get the chickens.
I think they threw a chicken, and then Peter has a big vase, and he's like throwing flowers. Although they're not flowers, they look like those big dried grass things, which make me want to sneeze. Okay, so then we go to Toby. All right, so we cut back. Toby is turning in her story to Madam Q.
Oh my God. This is the worst part of the episode, but I'll explain why. Go ahead.
Okay. And so she's like, here, I've written about the boys just the way they are. And she's like, just the way they are, and just crumples it without reading it.
And what she makes a thing is like, I'm not going to waste a minute reading this.
Yes.
And then she throws it away. But here's why that moment drove me nuts. And I felt for Toby. So once again, today, if we printed out something and somebody did that, you would just print it out again.
Right.
No big deal. Clearly that was like 10 to 20 pages of story.
Oh my gosh, you're right.
That she had to type out by hand.
Poor
and
Toby.
unless she thought ahead to do carbon copies, that's her only copy.
Oh no, Eliot, you made me so sad.
I hate to say it, but I'm happy that I have, because it made me very upset when I saw that. That was 2 to 4 hours of work for her to hand type.
Oh.
And I don't know whether in 67 whether you had an electric typewriter or not, but that only makes it a little less worse, a little less bad.
Yeah. Oh man, Toby.
Poor Toby. Poor thing.
Yeah, that, and she didn't even read. I mean,
she didn't even read it. She might have read the title or the first line,
crumpled it,
and she just crumpled it.
And then
Terrible.
Rob Roy comes in.
Dick. Rob Roy, dick.
And then she's like, "Oh well, Toby has written the boys just the way they are." And Rob Roy has like the bitchiest line of them all. Is she out to destroy us? Which is kind of that's kind of cool. That was kind of fierce, Rob Roy.
Okay,
but
it seemed a little out of character for him in a way because he didn't seem that pithy.
But yeah, is she out to destroy us? Oh, I was like, all right, point. But then he's like, oh, she's like, I want you to do it. And he's like, I anticipated that, and pulls out his article.
Motherfucker. Honestly.
So now we know he has devoted hours.
Yeah, he did the same thing. Now his story was not as long. I'll have you know, because it was not as many pages. That's and
he didn't have to do research because he made it all up.
And what bothered me was I'm trying to figure out Quagmire because she didn't like the stuff that he was presenting her before, which was the glossy thing that they always do.
Right.
So why would she immediately discount Toby's work when Toby was the one who brought these folks? She wanted something fresh and new and different. Why is she doing that to Toby? And instead now, Fingerhead, who, as far as I know, isn't a writer, he's the photographer.
True, which, yeah, that always bothered me too. I was like, what are you doing?
Right? So why it seems contra. Again, this is a cartoon, so maybe that's fine in a way. But to me, even in a Roadrunner cartoon, the characters are consistent. Why is she discounting Toby? And I would again, if I was writing this thing, I would have her read Toby's stuff.
Yes.
And then go, you know what? I was wrong. It's not good to have real people.
Exactly. Yeah.
Fingerhead, can you do something better? Why, yes. As a matter of fact, I already wrote something.
It always bothered me that she didn't read it. She took Toby at her word. Right.
And Toby and at her word that what she said was also going to be bad. Like where did that change come?
So I feel like part of it, I guess once she met the Monkees, she just hated them. I mean, once Peter showed up, I think she just immediately hated them.
Maybe.
And once she realized she couldn't mold them into what she wanted them to be for the magazine.
Yeah, you're making the audience do so much work to make that decision. And it takes one line to have fixed that.
One might say you're doing too much work as an audience member trying to figure out this decision.
I guess, but I'm trying to enjoy this so hard.
It's fun. All right, so
I can see why somebody would think it's fun. I am not that person.
Oh boy. See, this is okay.
It's not torturous though. Please don't misunderstand. It's just not fun.
All right. So, and she reads it, and then I've never forgotten this line. She looks at what he's written. She makes his face, this evil face.
Yeah.
Like this weird, like devious is the only word for it, face. And then she says, divoon.
What is that a thing?
I don't know. I've never heard anyone else say divoon, except maybe somewhere in my head, I feel like Audrey Hepburn has said it in a movie at one point, but I'm not sure. I might have just made that up. Divoon? Is that a thing?
I don't know. I assume they're making fun of somebody.
Yes, but just making up words. All right. So we cut back to the pad where Davy is cruel to stuffed animals. I used to think this was so funny when I was a kid. Oh boy, that was so funny. Davy pretending to feed this stuffed giraffe, and the giraffe won't eat it because it's stuffed giraffe, right? So Davy hits it. Ha 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 ha. Now as an adult, I'm like, dude, what?
And I'm like, what's the deal with all the stuffed animals?
Well, they're children. Look, they've got that giant house. They got to fill it with something. So they just have wacky props everywhere. Just wackiness.
All right. I have done a little lookup here.
Okay.
So divoon is a thing from the 1930s.
From the 30s?
Yeah. So it's slang, and it is an alteration of divine. So I guess that must be what they were thinking of.
So it's the bee's knees. It's divoon.
It's divoon. Fair enough.
Oh, weird.
It was weird, and then they say it more than once, which creeps me out.
They're trying to.
Because she didn't have any other slang like that. That's the thing.
No, she didn't.
Yeah,
but she did have that cool cigarette.
Cigarette holder.
Yeah, cigarette holder.
Yeah,
like the Pink Panther.
Sure.
which just means you're elegant. That's a shorthand for elegant. All right. So then, there's a, so they're talking about, wait, are they already talking about how the article came out? I don't know. My notes got really bad here.
Well, yeah, because we cut to their house,
mm-hmm.
and time has passed, and they find out about that. And then the next thing I've written down after the stuffed animal thing was telegram on phone, but I think stuff happens in
there was
between that.
Before. Yeah, there was a knock at the door, and,
right.
and we have the Davy Short bit where he opens the little peephole and he can't see out of it. And then
that's terrible.
Oh, it's cute. And he opens the door and a girl like returns the ring. Here's your friendship ring. And he's like, oh, okay, whatever. And then
was that his fiance?
She says friendship ring. So
right, but she says friendship ring sarcastically. Well, like the implication to me was that in the story that
I think
Fingerhead wrote,
dating or something.
Maybe, but in the story that Fingerhead wrote, it felt like that's what she was saying, is that, oh, this isn't a real
I
thing.
See what
this is a friendship
saying.
ring. That's how I read it.
I read it as she wasn't even acknowledged at all. Either she wasn't acknowledged at all in the article, or they made up some other girlfriend or something for him. That's how I took it.
Fair enough. And here's the thing. We never find out.
No, we never find out. We
never find out. And I would love to have found out at least a little bit of that.
Oh, I did.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't need that at all. I just
I wanted them to read part of the thing where it said, these confirmed bachelors never take any dating seriously. Would have been enough, right?
Oh no, I love the reactions. They're so good, because the second knock, Nikki confidently goes up. I think he's got like a soda bottle in one hand and he's like put bread in his mouth.
Right.
Open the door. And she just slaps the bread right out of his mouth.
Yep. And by the way, the little vignettes of those things on their own, they're fine. They're fine. There's nothing wrong with them.
And then he closes the door and he just says, "Hi, Linda." Beautiful. Just that's sure. A1. Applause.
And by the way, I totally expected something along these lines to happen based on the fact that Fingerhead wrote the story.
Right.
Somebody was going to get upset about something.
Yes. And I love the way they show just their friends just pissed. So Mickey's "Hi, Linda" just haunts me to this day. I love that. And then the phone rings and Mike, he's so happy. "Hey, buddy, how's it go?" What? Well, same to you, and hangs up the phone. And then the worst thing of all, somebody throws a rock through their kitchen window.
Yes, that was not great.
Just violent, just like terrorism against the Monkees.
Yep.
And there's a note wrapped around the rock saying, "You're no good."
Which this is a trope. The note on a rock.
Yeah,
this has happened in many television shows.
Yeah. But from a friend, which is kind of cute that it's signed a friend.
Yeah.
And oh boy, my notes.
Although I hate to get dark with this.
Okay.
I think the trope comes from things people did in the South.
Oh yeah, people would wrap notes around bricks and throw them through
and say, please leave our neighborhood.
Yeah,
a friend.
A friend. Yeah, you're right, a friend. But it was just funny, like, "You're no good, no good, a friend." And then and then they do, and I can't remember the word for the tableau. That's the word. I wrote down plateau ? Because I did not remember.
Tableau. What's the tableau?
So when like they've all gone to the living room for some reason, they're talking about, "Oh boy, things are getting weird with that article, the article, or something's going on." And then the doorbell rings or something, and they all do a pose.
Yes, I do remember this. It was weird, but
it's an adorable little tableau. It's a tableau.
Sure.
Because they all do something different. And it's very strange, and I love it. And they go, and Toby is there. Toby is all sad with a copy of the magazine.
Yes.
And then they start to read it? Oh wait, yeah, Mike does read a little bit of it, doesn't he?
Wait, where is the thing with the telegram? Is the telegram not yet?
Oh shit, I didn't write that down.
Because the phone rings.
Wait, no, that happens after Toby comes by.
Okay, great.
Okay, that happens after.
Oh, that's right, because it's about the party. Okay.
Yeah. So Mike says that it sounds like it was written by a sick leprechaun. Toby says it was written by Rob Roy. Mike says same thing.
So Rob Roy, I think that's a Rob Roy reference.
Oh, you're right, Rob Roy.
Because Rob Roy was a Scottish outlaw.
Yeah, but that's not leprechaun. That's leprechaun.
Well, if you're ignorant,
leprechauns are Irish. All right. So there's a little, according to one of those DNA database things that I'm part Scottish. So
Okay. So
I,
you've submitted your DNA so that they can own your DNA for things.
yes, I have.
Conspiracy theories pop their ugly head.
Okay. Well, here's the thing. Shall I defend myself? Can I defend myself?
Let me tell you this. I have a friend who she did one of those things, but she gave all false information as far as who she was.
Oh, that's
because she was paranoid about that.
Yeah. Well, that's why my mom hasn't done it. My dad did it. My mom's like, ain't no way I'm giving my DNA to the man. Oh.
I'm on board. My main thing is I have Alzheimer's in my family. If I submit to one of these things, that could actually have bad news for me when I turn 80. So I will give it to an Alzheimer's research company.
Oh, I see.
But I don't want to give it to just the general thing, because what happens if some insurance company decides, oh, you have a pre-existing condition because your DNA says Alzheimer's?
Yeah.
Like,
I get you. But I just feel like I there's so much that we don't know about our family tree that I'm like, this is supposedly.
And if you can find out accurate information, I get it. I get the desire.
So that's the only reason I did it, is like, there's so much that's like missing and lost, and you're relying on like people's memories and even what do you call those things? When they go and they ask you questions, what are those things called?
Like the census?
Yes. You're relying on census data, which, isn't really good in some neighborhoods back in the day. So, I was like, oh, well, if this can help that.
I get that. And for me, like, I don't have your ancestry. Mine's different. But for me, like my father's mother, I don't know that we ever knew how old she was.
Wow.
Because she didn't have a birth certificate when she came to the United States. Yeah, and she wouldn't confirm to anybody whether she actually knew her birth date or not. Yes. So there was like a 10-year range that it could have been.
Things like that. Yeah, exactly. Yes. Things like that. Yeah. We're like, well, who knows? Like, like the whole where everybody, well, I don't know, maybe not in your family, but like every Black family like claims there was like a Cherokee princess or whatever. like, no.
Oh man, that would, that would be very problematic. I will say though, I did do some research on our last name, on Hochberg.
Oh yeah.
And there is a tiny chance, I would say less than 5%, that I am related to a Polish royal of some sort, who was the end of his line because he was probably, well, almost certainly a crossdresser.
Oh wow.
And perhaps just gay and didn't have any children.
Right.
But the Hochberg name, like I saw a picture of this guy when he was like, I don't know, 8 years old or something. And in our lineage, almost like there's almost always one blonde kid. Now I'm Jewish from heritage from Eastern Europe. That is not normal.
Right.
For that, right? So my dad and one of my sister's kids and this royal guy, you would think they were all the same person.
Wow.
Blonde haired at between ages like 2 and 8. They all, and like they hadn't developed what we call the Hochberg nose, which is kind of a bigger nose with like a ball on the end, which I don't have the ball. I'm very thankful for that. But like, so like it's kind of a weird thing, because she's like, well, is there something there? Is there a connection there or whatever? So
that's amazing.
Yeah. But I don't know. But he's from Ukraine and then went to Poland. Like he was Ukrainian royalty, I think, and then was married into Polish royalty, but then never had any children.
Interesting. Yeah, the DNA site says that I'm related to what's her name, Elizabeth Cady Stanton or something. I'm like,
who's that? I don't know the name.
I think she was like a what do you call it?
Writer of some sort.
Women's vote person.
Oh, a suffragette.
Yeah, thank you. I was like, abolitionist? No. Suffragette, yes. I was trying to sing the Mary Poppins song in my head. I was like,
oh, there you go.
No. Yeah. So, yeah, she was a suffragette, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway.
Wikipedia says Elizabeth Cady Stanton was a leader of the women's rights movement in the U.S. during the mid to late 1800s.
Yeah, so
the Seneca Falls Convention.
Yeah. So, according to the DNA websites, we're related to her somehow. But how that is, I don't know. All right.
That's cool.
So, okay, back to the Monkees. All right.
Yes.
Where are we?
Tangents. You're welcome. We're almost done though.
So Toby, wait, okay. Oh yeah. So now they start like reading the article.
Right.
Where the boys enjoy pheasant under glass. They play polo and croquet.
Yeah,
they do read the article.
Yeah, they do, but they don't like. Why would those girls break up with them?
Yeah,
because they had pheasant under. You never got me pheasant under glass. Maybe I don't know.
Maybe
and I honestly, based on how the show was going, I was disappointed we didn't see them playing polo.
Yeah, I know, that would have been really cute.
Even the fakey polo, like if they brought back Mickey in that same environment on the fake tree. I might have been on board with that.
I think there is roll of them playing croquet though. That's weird. They didn't cut to that because I think they've shown that in some of their little music videos.
Yeah.
So anyway, they enjoy chamber music and organ recitals, and part of me like bristle. I'm like, oh yeah, that's awful. Why would anybody enjoy classical music? All right, TV show.
Yeah, they're supposed to be musicians.
I know. I was like, well, yeah. What's wrong with the organ recitals? You want to fight? Come on.
I mean, so here's the thing. It's very complex, and again, wants the audience to do a lot more work to figure this out. So theoretically, Chic magazine is aimed at a certain population.
Mm-hmm.
Now that population would think it's great that you were doing that. So what would the problem be? And I guess maybe they were trying to aim at the youth who would perhaps not appreciate that sort of stuff.
Right.
But then why would they want the article to do that unless I guess they're saying they don't understand young people? I guess that's fair.
Yeah.
But again, I shouldn't have to do all that work to get there. And I'm plucked out of it. But
it's just like, hey, that's what uptight people do. That ain't what the rock and rollers do. Boo. It's just that simple. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all they're doing.
That's fair.
And then we get a cute little cutaway of the boys playing as a quartet.
Yeah, which I was fine with. And again, that's where I wrote, oh yes, they wanted to do something else with the tuxedos.
Yeah, exactly. So we have the tuxedos. And I love Peter playing the cello, which is the instrument that I wanted to learn at the time. So I was very excited about Peter having the cello. Okay. And then Mike and Mickey get to duel in the back with their bows with the sword fight sounds, which is cute. But as a music teacher, I was like, please don't do that. Please stop doing that.
What? Why?
Please.
It's absurd. It's just a show.
I don't want to fix those.
It's a cartoon.
Oh my gosh, if those
it's
break,
a cartoon.
You are in so much trouble.
You should let it go, Tekurah.
I will charge you money for those friggin' bows. Okay, so that is a deep temptation for students. Okay, so Toby has quit her job. And they're like, what? Yep. And Davey has some nice ad-libbing as to why did Toby do that? That was ridiculous. And then they get a telegram.
But I respected her for that because she spent 4 hours typing something.
Right.
And honestly, fuck you,
Madam Quagmire.
You could just have handed it back to me and I'll keep it. No, you had to crumple it up. I quit. I had a lot of strong positive emotions for Toby at that moment.
Oh, and we didn't talk about Toby's wardrobe. She has very cute little head
very stylish.
Little scarves. She's very cute.
Yeah, she belonged at a fashion magazine. I felt, except that she was probably stoned too much.
Again, just work. She's tired from all that typing. That's all.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? It could be that.
So we get a telegram over the phone. Is that a thing?
No, I don't. Well, you know what? I shouldn't say no, but that's not what I would call a telegram.
Yeah, it's not. I was like, what? You get telegrams over the phone? Anyway, it's from Madam Q, inviting them to the banquet for the young Americans, and then we cut again to the pictures and the hey, we're the Monkees, boom, 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 and Davey is angry, and Davey calls on Mickey to send a monkey telegram, and so Mickey pretends to pick up the phone again and do a monkey telegram, and Davey says, "Tell Madam Quagmire that you can take your trophy," and then we cut away. So good. I love that.
All right, that's all fine, although absurd, but fair enough. But I again, it's one of those things where maybe you and I do not have the experience to know that maybe there was something called a telegram that would be delivered by phone.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm trying to remember. I know that when you could call to send a telegram,
right? Because
I remember in the old movies, it would be like, yeah, I would like to send a telegram to this address to this person. Mm-hmm. We've lost the lease. Stop. Move out immediately. Stop. I don't love you anymore. Stop. I'm going to stop being with you. Stop. and then the name, right? So that's the thing that I remember, but I don't remember receiving telegrams by phone. Although there's no reason why somebody couldn't read you a telegram.
Right, but I always thought telegrams were those things that people would like knock on your door and hand you.
Right, or you'd have to go and get them.
Right, that's what I thought a telegram was.
Yeah.
So I'm very confused about this.
So, but maybe we're just both ignorant, and there is a thing that was that. I just did a quick look up. It's very hard to figure out.
Interesting.
So I don't know.
So we cut to the banquet because the boys are going to show up. Why? To get their beautiful revenge. That's why.
Okay.
So, Mrs. Quagmire, Madam Quagmire.
I'm going to stop you for a second.
Oh, yes.
Was it your impression from the beginning of the story that this was the end point?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I missed that. Because to me, I thought that they were just a feature article in the magazine. And in fact, I was disappointed when they weren't the cover photo. I thought they were going to be the cover photo.
Oh, well, see, I don't know. I don't know what my expectations are, Elliot, because I've seen this episode so many times.
All right, fair enough. You did say that apparently she may have said at the beginning that they were going to be given an award. And if that's the case, then I missed it.
No, I remember watching this and going, oh, an award. Just last time I watched this, I was like, I don't remember her saying anything about an award. So I think you're right.
Okay.
This banquet comes out of nowhere.
So I had started at a certain point thinking, oh, this story no longer makes any sense. And then at this point, I was convinced it didn't make any sense.
Yeah, because she just talks about the issue. She doesn't make it an award at the beginning. Yeah, the Young American issue is what I wrote down because I rewound it and went back to get the words.
Okay.
It's an issue. And then all of a sudden, halfway through the script, no, 2/3 of the way through the script, now it's an awards with a banquet.
Okay.
Oh, Elliot, you have ruined this episode.
I'm sorry.
No.
It is a thing I do though, and it's not a surprise. I hope.
No, it's perfect. It's exactly what I want. It's exactly what I want.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
We're breaking down the show, man.
All
right, so it's turned into a banquet and an award ceremony.
Okay. So now this is happening. This banquet, the supposed banquet.
Yeah, that we've all known about.
Mm-hmm.
So she's got this gorgeous blue hat and like a capelet, I think, over her dress, and it's a beautiful powder blue color, and I absolutely adore it.
Okay. And I remember her jewelry because I think at some point they referenced jewelry.
Oh yes,
pearls and pearl earring.
Yes, beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. The boys are on the stage. There's giant portraits of them behind.
I only remember seeing 3.
Yeah, it kind of cuts off, but on a wider shot, you can kind of see. Yeah.
And which, by the way, you don't see any clothes. It's just their faces.
Yeah, just their faces. Doesn't really matter.
And are they the same pictures as Toby had originally?
No, they're different.
Okay, fair enough.
And so I have that the boys sing hello in their Three Stooges kind of way.
Yeah, okay.
Mickey goes into his nonsense talking.
Wait a minute. Now you're glossing a little bit because you have to talk about how Quagmire introduces them.
Oh, this is right before. We are right before her introduction.
Oh, okay. I didn't think he did the nonsense until she introduced him. But go ahead.
No, well, they all just do like a cacophony. They go hello, hello, and then they all just like
okay.
And Mickey is doing his nonsense talking already.
Very good.
And then Mike says, "Oh, look at you all gussied up. You look nice with the jewelry hanging off you."
Yep, because that's what Texas people say.
Well, that's what Mike says because Mike is a weirdo.
Okay.
I just love jewelry hanging off you. Yep, that's what you do with jewelry. You're just hanging off you. So now she introduces them individually.
Yep.
I don't know why she didn't want to cut this friggin' ceremony short because she clearly hates these boys.
Look, I wasn't necessarily convinced that she hated them, but at this point, it's clear that they aren't what she wanted. And I've got to say, and maybe this is a failure of 1960s PR, but when you look at the audience of people that are there, they are all old.
Yes.
So she wants something fresh. Why is this there? Why is she presenting this in front of these people when in my head, her whole goal was, even though this is never stated, her whole goal was, I feel like Chic is not reaching the kids.
Right. Yes.
That's my presumption as to why she's doing
that's what you assume at the beginning. She's like, oh, okay, great. It's a young American. Yes.
Right. So at every point along the way, she makes the wrong choices.
Mm-hmm.
But some of them you could be excused because she's just doing what she's always done.
Right.
Right. Even though it seems dumb, sometimes that's why people do dumb things. To me, then, what is the point of this particular thing? Like, are they the investors and they're trying to convince them?
That's what I always thought. I always thought this was the money.
Okay.
Money and society. Those are the only, that's the only thing that makes sense.
Okay. I will go with that then.
Okay.
But even then, what she does next
makes no sense.
Makes no sense, because I agree with you. She knows these guys aren't what she thinks she needs. And she's in front of these very important people. So they should not talk. They should barely be there.
Why are you giving them the opportunity?
In fact, they didn't have to be there for her to do this.
No.
She could have accepted the award on their behalf.
Right.
And you just see the pictures and she could do her whole fakey story. Yep. But anyway. All right.
So Toby's not there because she quit. She is not taking her job back.
No, and appropriately so.
And but Rob Roy is up there. Yep. So she introduces them individually. The picture of Grace, Peter Tork. Now, all us kids at home were like, what? Peter's not Grace. Well, this is going to be a hoot. And of course, sweet Peter trips on the way up to the podium. And then she carries him back like a puppy, holding the back of his suit.
Right.
And throwing him down on the chair. It's rather rude.
Yep.
Then took me so long to figure out what she says. The embodiment of the chic coiffure.
Right. And you're saying that they wanted to screw up her stuff is the only explanation that I can think of for what happens next.
But what happens next is one of my favorite things.
All right.
So Davy Jones, clearly with the wig on, just obviously.
Oh yeah, no, I was like, why is he wearing a wig?
Obviously a wig,
and a bad one,
not his hair, not his hair, but he sidles up, and then the boy, you can hear the boys in the background. Go get him, Davy. Yeah, you got this, Davy.
Yeah.
He sidles up to the podium and just snatches that wig off to show his bald hair. People in the audience scream in horror.
But if she hadn't said he had great hair, like, how did he know that she would say that?
It's a cartoon. It's a cartoon.
Yes.
And Davy just smugly walks right on back, spinning his wig.
Yep. Sure.
Back to his seat. And I think Mickey says, way to go, Davy. It's beautiful. In fact, it might be my favorite thing in the entire episode is just just Davy's face and just the reveal of that wig. He does it so well. Okay. Madam Q looks sad at this point.
Perhaps, but has she learned her lesson yet?
No. But her little heart is breaking, and I kind of feel bad for her. But then she goes back to, the paragon of quiet gentility, Mickey Dolenz. And again, us 9-year-olds at home are like, quiet, Mickey, what?
Right, sure.
And Mickey pretends to be asleep. And then Mike wakes him up. He's like, you're quiet, you're genteel, you're quiet. And Mickey's hushing. He quietly goes up to the mic and grabs it, and then does his whole I'm a loudmouth thing and talks nonstop. And then you're like, what's she gonna say about Mike? What's gonna happen next? And then she just says Mike is gonna receive the award. I'm like, what? what happened to the bit? I thought there's gonna be another bit. And then she tries to just hand it to him, I think, and shoo him off. And he says, hold on, Quaggy Poo, which I kind of love. We got a few things to say in this little drawl. And, we don't deserve this. And I want to present it to somebody who does. And that's Mr. Rob Roy Fingerhead. And so our Rob Roy is trying to sneak out.
Which I don't know why.
I don't know why either. I don't know why he's leaving. And guess because it's a disaster and he knows everybody is horrified at these boys.
So actually that might explain why they didn't say why. Because to me, my brain is going, just say what the truth is. And I don't remember if they actually said this article has nothing to do with us. I don't think he did.
No, they never do.
So maybe that's why. Maybe that's they've made a disaster here.
Yes.
And they want to pin it on him.
Yes.
Okay. I did not get that at the time.
So that's the only thing that makes sense is that he's like, oh no, this is my fault somehow. So he tries to sneak.
Not somehow. It is his fault.
You're right.
Almost all of this, except a little bit of quagmire, is entirely his fault.
Right. But he didn't put a bald cap on Davy, which is so expensive. That's a good bald cap, by the way.
It was pretty good. It was
for the 60s. That's an excellent bald cap.
Yeah.
So he tries to sneak out behind the boys' chairs. Davy has his wig on his shoulder and is petting it. like it's a tribble.
Mm-hmm.
And he scoots back to block him. And
Sure.
then he steps over Davy. And then Peter spins around and blocks him with a beatific smile on his face. I think that's
sure.
Beatific.
Yep.
And then Mickey kind of grabs him by the coattail and drags him back.
Mm-hmm.
Davy is petting his hair. And then he tries to go sit down. He sits on his camera, which kind of makes me sad. I'm like, oh, dude, that kind of sucks.
He really sat hard on it too. Like, I don't remember the cameras being that sensitive, but
yeah, that camera is destroyed.
Like it's exploded. It's not just like I could see the lens kind of being broken off.
Yeah, like something should have just popped off it.
But it just was demolished.
Yeah, it is like somebody has taken a challenge to take apart and put together a camera again, blindfolded or something, and they're just taking it apart.
But all right, we're in a cartoon, so
yeah,
okay.
So he's destroyed his camera. Mickey says it's a mercy killing, and that's not funny, Mickey. Mike continued. Madam Q says Madam Q loses it and starts telling them to get them out. Mike continues to speak. We would like to thank you, the audience. You've made this possible. They go out into the audience being their typical monkey selves. Now, is the audience repulsed and horrified like they were before? No. They're charmed by these plucky boys. They're like, oh, look at these fun kids coming out.
They're stacking up teacups.
To stack teacups in front of us and cause a mess. There's like a couple of black people in the audience, by the way, everybody. Black people in the audience. It's very fun.
Very good.
Mickey goes up to them. I noticed Mickey goes up to the black couple. They're just being goofy in the audience. And then Madam Quagmire has like a tantrum and like waiters are holding her back.
Oh, right. Yep.
And it's kind of scary. I mean, it's funny. It's like, oh, ha, ha, ha. But it's like, wow, she's really losing it.
Yeah.
And that's how that ends with the boys just being wacky in the audience. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So then we're back to you thought the episode was over. You're like, all right, here we go. Hey, there's another scene. So we're back to the Chic headquarters, I guess.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the Monkees are there. And I believe, do they have matching suits on again or just matching shirts? I can't remember what they have on. Anyway. And they're there to ask for a retraction. We hear there's a new editor.
Oh, right.
We want a retraction.
Mm-hmm. And
the chair spins around.
And who is it?
Toby. And Toby has an attitude.
And a hat.
Why shouldn't I be the new editor, she says, which is right on. Why shouldn't she?
There are many reasons why she shouldn't be the new editor. One, we never saw her get made the new editor. Two, she quit. Three, she may not have the experience, but she's a new editor.
No, she is capable. She wrote that art. She can do what she wants.
She certainly can type for a long time.
She is woman. Hear her roar. So
I'm willing to believe that she has the capability of being an editor, but it still was a little jarring that the writer who wasn't necessarily was she originally assigned to I guess she was assigned to the article originally, but is a young person.
Yes,
like
very young.
To me, you could be like 10 years older than her, and then it would have totally made sense.
Right. But some reason, I guess because I believe the sponsors that were at that banquet, and they were just like, "You're out, madam."
I mean, once again, cartoon logic, and also got to fill in a lot of blanks. But all right, so she's the editor. Fair enough.
She's the editor now, and she says that she has great assistants.
Right.
And we see sitting next to her is a Rob Roy and Madam Q. Madam Q sadly typing.
Yep. Not and I want to say she was in Grays and Browns. I think they both were.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yes. No longer her colorful hats and suits.
Which, let's be 100% clear, there are several soap opera-y serialized television programs. One of which I watch younger, which if you haven't watched it, it's a pretty good show. It was on was it Nick at Night or no, not there. It was on a different network, the same network that Hot in Cleveland was on.
Was that on TBS?
No. It's a smaller cable network. Anyway,
I don't know.
It was on that, and now it's on MTV networks or it's something. It's on Hulu. I don't know what's happening. Anyway, this kind of thing happens where the assistant becomes the editor of the book publishing company, right? So it's not unprecedented, or rather, this precedes that. But it's like shows do this.
Yeah.
So fine.
Yeah. So Toby wins. And we go straight from the sad typing of Madame Quagmire to just a what do they call it? Concert perform. Well, it's not a concert.
Wait, hold up, because you're missing something.
I am.
I thought was very important.
Oh, yes. Is this where it happened?
Toby's the editor.
Mm-hmm.
They ask for a retraction. What does she say?
Does she say no?
She says no. She says no because that's not what we do.
Toby,
she refuses to retract it.
I didn't notice that.
Instead of replacing it with her story, or just taking it off and I'm sorry that happened or whatever, she becomes Quagmire.
Toby.
So what we learn is that power corrupts absolutely.
You're right. That's sad. Wait, you know what? Okay. Now we've gotten to the end of the episode and I didn't write down, when did Peter make his weird throat slashing motion?
Oh,
because that happened.
That's what it was. It was earlier though.
Yeah, I didn't write it down, but I remember seeing it and going.
It made no sense.
Yeah,
it was when Fingerhead was looking around.
Somebody said it was as if like dialogue had been cut, like there was a line cut where that motion made sense.
Oh, maybe the other way around. Maybe he was like, you shouldn't have said that. Like it wasn't part of the story. It was just literally Peter just doing that.
Weird.
It was super weird because it didn't fit. It didn't fit what was happening.
And I had never noticed it before.
Yeah.
Just bizarre.
It was bizarre.
That about.
Well, so here's the thing about this show, this episode, and what I imagine this show is. So is it a cartoon? Sure. But it doesn't, to me, quite get there. And what I suspect is the case is that the budget was super low. So one of the things that I noticed throughout is that they didn't do a lot of different camera setups.
Oh yeah, no.
It might have even been shot like a 3 camera. I mean, there is a laugh track.
Yeah, every single episode.
So for example, when they're in the banquet hall, they like, I assume that wasn't just stock footage of those people. They actually had everybody there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But like the shots with her and the Monkees are very tight.
Yes.
There aren't a lot of reference shots where you see the audience and them in the distance. In fact, I don't know that there are any. And so to me, where they miss in trying to be cartoonish is, for example, when Peter's supposed to be the graceful guy, but he isn't, it's very small. That should have been much bigger.
There is something going on with the shots in this show because people have commented that so many times the boys are basically stacked on top of each other all in one shot.
Yep. It's like that tableau you're talking about. There's a lot of, not exactly that, but a lot of that kind of stuff.
Just right on top of each other.
Yep.
And I don't know if it was like a limitation. Yeah, I don't know enough about cameras to know.
Here's the thing. Every time you do a new setup, that's like another 4 hours. Right? Not to do the setup, but like to do the setup, make sure it's right, then do the performance. And if you're doing the same scene more than once, which, like I say, I think this might have been shot like a 3-camera sitcom, even though it really wasn't. So money's usually the reason for that, because if this was shot more like a single camera, then they would have done different setups.
Okay.
So, and that also explains why there aren't that many locations. So you have the Chic magazine office, you have their apartment, and you have the banquet.
Yeah.
Is there anything else?
No.
I mean, there is like the music video, but the music videos, they cut in stuff from other things, but they also, I feel like they have a little more freedom because they don't have to retake anything. So they can do a setup really quickly, and then people run around and do whatever BS they're doing. And then you also have the stuff in the tuxedos, that's in their apartment too, isn't it?
Yeah, all that is in the apartment. Yeah, all that is in the house.
And then there are the 2 cutaways for the historical
which are just
things.
Generic. Which one of them was like in the kitchen. One of them was still in the house.
Right. So it's a cheap show.
Yeah.
And you're telling me that it was designed for 9 to 12-year-olds essentially, or maybe even younger. That kind of explains it, because especially in the 60s, you don't think that kids really matter. You don't necessarily have to make a story that makes sense, and it
Right.
doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't have to make sense. It just needs to have that energy and that feeling. They were just going for like a vibe to, they were
Now,
just
I want to make something really clear, because if anybody's listened this long, they're going to get an impression of what I think is good and bad. And I want to make it very clear. I've watched the movie The Wandering Earth, which also doesn't make any sense. But
what is that?
The Wandering Earth, I want to say it's a Korean sci-fi film where there's some, I don't remember exactly what it is. Either the sun is maybe going to go supernova or something. Anyway, the Earth can't be in its current orbit. So, and they knew this was coming, so they had built all these rockets on various parts of the planet, and they're going to take it out to orbit Jupiter or go to Jupiter's orbit. It's a crazy story. Many things don't make sense, but it's still enjoyable.
Right.
And I'm trying to figure out why I'm accepting of that on a certain level, and yet this kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And I think it's because it is supposed to be a cartoon.
Yeah.
And I don't think they go far enough. I think that's what it is. Even though I really like Nesmith, and I think I connect most with his and enjoy his performance the most. Maybe he shouldn't be there. Well, maybe that's part of the problem. Maybe it needs to be more just craziness.
Oh no, I don't think I could handle it. No, Mike needs to be there. They need, because okay, here's another thing. There's one thing that made this original at the time was that there was no like dad to come in and like give a moral of the story.
True.
So Mike is the closest thing they have to that, but there still is no authority figure in any of the episodes. So Mike is the closest thing you have to grounding without having an authority figure.
Because I guess the closest comparison to this would have been the Partridge Family,
which I never really watched.
And it's a fine show. It's not great, but the stories basically make sense. Right. And, you have to accept the idea that there's a family who they're kind of workmanlike in their ability to perform. I mean, they're relatively famous, but they're not super famous. That's how I remember it anyway.
Yeah.
But they're it's the story of a band.
Right.
I'm trying to think also, like, I think around the same time or maybe a little bit later, you have like HR Puffin stuff and those kind of live action shows. And I wonder if I'd have the same response to those. Because I remember liking Far Out Space Nuts was one of the things from Sid and Marty Krofft.
I never heard of that.
Oh, there's a thing that happens where there are these two guys. They're basically janitors, I want to say, for like, Cape Canaveral or something along those lines. And they go into the capsule to clean the capsule.
Oh no.
And one of them is really dumb. And I want to say he's kind of like a Harpo Marx type.
Okay.
And then the other guy is like, what's the name of the lead Three Stooges? Mo, right? So there's Mo and Harpo Marx basically, and they're inside the space capsule, and I think the Harpo character basically says, "I forgot my lunch," and the Mo character says, "Well, press the lunch button; they'll bring it up." And he goes, "Okay," and he presses a button, but he presses the launch button.
Launch button. Oh no!
I said launch. I said lunch, not launch. That's the joke for every episode of Far Out Space Nuts. So I wonder if I would have the same reaction to that show as I had to the Monkees. And if so, fair.
Probably.
But I loved Electro Woman and Dyna Girl, and I was very young, and it was a very early opportunity for me to understand what women were.
I don't know.
Oh, you got to watch it. Like not the recent movie. I haven't seen that yet, but watch an old episode of Electro Woman and Dyna Girl. It's terrible superhero stuff, but I think you would enjoy it as much as you enjoy this. I suspect.
I bet I would. I'm sure I would. Because it just looks. I've seen images, and I'm like, that looks great.
Yeah. It's lady superheroes, and they're doing the thing, and I remember enjoying that.
They're doing the thing. Okay. Sorry. Let's see where we're. I wrote down Wandering Earth, and I wrote down Far Out Space, and that's because that's a title.
Yeah.
I'm
pretty sure that's the right title.
Yeah, I believe you. All right. So so now we're at You Just May Be the One to close out the episode. Because,
yes. Very good song.
Wonderful song written
very
by
good song.
Our own Mike Nesmith.
Yeah. And when I saw the titles and I saw that he wrote that, I was like, oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
That's a legitimate, like, here's a 20-year-old writing a song.
Yes.
And it's good.
It's so good. And this is a setup from episode 13, by the way. That is Veronica. It looks like Veronica Cartwright's house, which is like a debutante, like girl that they performed for that Peter had a crush on. So it's like weird to see, but the performance is not in character because anyway, it's just like a performance on that set, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
But they're wearing the same costume, so that probably is from that episode. Just like one of the many takes, I guess they did.
Okay.
Peter's hair is so shiny.
Okay. I didn't notice, but I believe you.
Zoom in. The camera's kind of zooming around over his head to get to Davy, and I was like, "Dang, that hair is shiny." And then I noticed some things in this performance. First of all, I usually just watch Peter the whole time because he's just seems to be having the most fun of his life.
Is he? Now this is. I'm assuming this is all lip synced, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, this is the lip sync.
But they can all play their instruments, yes?
Yeah, they all figured out how to. They didn't initially play the ones that they play for the show.
Oh, okay.
So like Mickey is a guitarist, not a drummer, so he had to learn to drum for the show. Davey was a drummer, but they were like, "No, you're out front. We're not putting this face behind the kit."
Like, yeah, you're adorable.
No, Mike obviously a guitarist, and Peter could play guitar and everything.
And he's playing bass, and he pulled a fun thing where he was getting very excited just playing the open string.
Yes, I love that part. He's just like,
that was good.
This doesn't matter. Boom. I'll just hit this.
Honestly, that was the most rock and roll of the entire episode, as far as I'm concerned.
I know. I love that part. I'm glad somebody else noticed that. He's just like open stringing it. Boom.
Yep.
But then everybody, if you're watching the same Tube episode that we did, at 24:10 in the episode.
Oh boy.
At the end of right before the last chorus of "And You Just May Be the One," Davey turns to Mike and starts making faces at him.
Oh, I didn't miss that.
And Mike kind of turns and grins, and then Davey kind of like does this deadpan double take, and then just goes back to lip syncing the song. And it's just the strangest, most adorable moment that I never noticed before. Just Davey trying to make Mike laugh in the middle of the song, and I was just like, "Oh, Davey, you're a treasure." Just being goofy to all Mike of all people, because you get the feeling like everybody's kind of scared of Mike because he's so serious.
Well, and he's the tallest one.
He's super tall, but he seems to take everything so he very rarely smiles in any the little music performances, and the fact that he's smiling at all on this one is really unusual.
Yeah, okay.
Davey is just making faces at him is very special to me. All right, so that was my joy at you just.
Well, I'm not running it without sound, just so I can see. And Davey turns to Mickey and makes some face at him that we can't see at one point.
Oh yeah, that's right. He does turn around to do something. I don't know what he's saying.
Now they're taking the singing relatively seriously most of the time.
Oh yeah.
Although I found it interesting, I was trying to figure out the mix of the music is not great. It's very muddled.
Yeah. So I have the DVDs.
Yeah.
Which are remastered and quite lovely.
Yeah.
But I haven't watched them in a while because I don't have a DVD. I don't have a Blu-ray player in my house. There's one at the studio. So
although I did just watch it, and there is a small moment where there's 2 seconds of Davey making the faces, and then Mike kind of goes, he kind of acknowledges it with a little bit of a grin.
Yes.
Yeah. And then we're not quite done yet, because in the titles you have the normal closing titles, and then so wait, hold on. Now I'm watching this particular moment. So Davey, hold on, come here. Rewind, you silly. And by the way, Davy Jones has got maracas and a tambourine.
Yeah.
And I guess if you're not being the lead singer, that's what you got to do.
Yeah, if you're a percussionist and you're not the lead singer.
Oh, that's right. He's a drum. He's a
yeah.
drummer. That's a good point.
Yeah. So
all right. So
give me
come
all
to the titles. Davy's got cornflakes.
Yes. Oh, I did write this down. Davy is cornflakes. Mickey is Rice Krispies.
Yeah.
Mike is Frosted Flakes,
which makes no sense.
And Peter is Apple Jacks, which are my favorite.
And then all 4 of them, that's when Special K comes up.
Yeah, this Special K.
Which and you have to, well, of course, I guess the titles are covering their faces too, but you have to be very upset that Special K is covering up part of Peter's, what I imagine you would say, beautiful face.
I'm upset about that. And then they show like the variety pack, and then they show some Pop-Tarts. It's like, wow.
Pop-Tarts. That was a surprise.
That was it's like the whole Kellogg's line will be in the credits.
And then Apple Jacks comes up again, Cornflakes comes up again.
Oh yeah. And if you go, what was funny to me was like hearing people when I would go to like a concert, like hearing people sing the old Kellogg's, like the old Kellogg's jingle, which I never heard.
Oh, I don't even know if I know it.
It's the one from the commercial in the beginning that you saw, KELLOGS or whatever. Yeah. Kellogg's just for you or whatever.
Okay. And so people would know it at Monkees concerts?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. So it has to have happened more than once.
Oh yeah, they did commercials for Kellogg's. They did commercials for Kool-Aid. Yeah, there are commercials you can find online of the Monkees doing these ads. It's fascinating. Yeah, it's just weird. It's weird to think of them being a part of current culture, because even as I was watching it as a kid, these were reruns, so I wasn't seeing the Monkees doing ads and promotions and stuff.
Oh, right, because they wouldn't want to pay for they're not being paid for those ads again.
Yeah, so they wouldn't run. Yeah, there's no reason.
Oh, that makes sense. And plus, it'd be very easy to edit in, especially even in like 1980 or something. It'd be very easy to just edit in the standard titles.
Yeah. In fact, when I would watch the reruns, it would have the second season closing credits. They didn't use the Monkees theme. They would use the In This Generation song for the closing credits.
I don't remember that one.
And in fact, on the DVDs, you can watch, and they re-edited it for Saturday morning reruns. There's like different edits on the DVDs. They have the different edits for the Saturday morning. They would put different songs in different episodes. Very confusing. So okay, here's something I forgot to tell you.
Okay.
Sorry. So we play a game.
Oh boy.
It's an easy game. Don't worry.
All right.
This is my friend Mark Leonard invented this game.
Okay.
It is Park Coffee Bank Shins.
Wait, what now?
Park? Like, which monkey would you want to go to the park with?
Oh, okay.
Which monkey would you like to have coffee with? Which monkey would you rob a bank with? And which monkey would you kick in the shins?
Okay. So let's do that again. So park
coffee, bank, shins.
All right. So park Davy Jones.
Oh, okay.
Because imagine he would like enjoy being at the park, and he's kind of athletic, whatever, it'd be fine. Coffee, Mike Nesmith.
Yes. Having a lovely conversation about theology.
Bank Mickey Dolenz. Because with that jaw, at least he could take a hit.
Oh, wow.
And I don't think it's any surprise to anyone that I would kick Peter Tork in the shins.
I know.
Here's what I think. Here's what I think is true. I don't think Peter Tork was very much like his character.
Oh no, not at all.
And and in addition, I'm not entirely sure, because I watched some of the screen tests. You'll probably know this better than I would. It seemed like Peter, like, definitely, he knew that he was in entertainment and this was an opportunity for him to work. I think he just did the job. I don't think he liked being that character. I don't feel like it didn't match. Like, his energy was, this is what I'm supposed to do, rather than, like, you watch Danny Kaye doing exactly the same kind of things and you never get that feeling.
Yeah. So the backstory, as far as I know it, is that the dummy character is like what he used to do when he would play like coffee houses and stuff in New York. What is that? Greenwich Village.
Okay.
That was like his stage character, just for in between songs.
Okay.
And so he's like, oh, well, that's what I'll do for the audio. I'll be like the dummy. And so they cast him as the dummy. He's the only one on the show that is not basically being himself. Everybody else is basically being themselves, except for Peter.
Okay. And you know what? I think that's what I'm picking up on, because as you say that, it's like, sure, Davy Jones is heightening some of the stuff, but he matched very well with his screen test. And by the way, I didn't think this after seeing the screen test. I thought this, and then I thought, I want to watch the screen test and see what I learned. So, and I that makes sense to me. And of the four, Nesmith is being the most himself as far as I'm concerned.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So that's got to be what it is that put me off. Yeah, it's got to be it.
But yeah, no. Apparently, I learned at a young age I'm a sucker for the dummy.
Well, you want to be in control and get a dummy.
Oh wow, it's a control issue. Okay, thanks, Dr. Eliot. All right,
you're welcome. You're welcome. Your relationship advice provided for free. I am not a doctor.
I just think Peter was so sweet. I just loved him. Okay. It's the sweetness and the guy, like, you're not gonna like be devious and break my heart. That's what it is.
Oh boy.
Issue. It's not a control issue. It's
I got something to tell you. Peter Tork's probably the one that's the most likely to break your heart. What is his history? Does he have any
Peter unfortunately has passed on.
Okay.
But yeah, he was the let's all get naked and hang out at my house.
Okay.
That's who Peter was.
Okay. I don't think I need to say anything more.
That's who Peter was. Yeah. But still, at heart, a sweetheart. I think he used to hang out with Janis Joplin. Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah. Pete did okay. All right. So, all right. Let's see. What did I forget to do? Anything? Forget? Oh, so overall, I think we have a sense of how Eliot felt about this episode. I think we get it. There's no mystery.
So let me be clear. I have watched things that I have walked out on. I have watched television programs that I had to stop and watch again. That is not what happened here. I was able to, obviously, I knew that I had to watch it, so therefore I was going to watch it all the way through. But there have been, I'm not going to name programs because some friends of mine like some programs very well that I had to stop very many times. But that didn't happen here. So it wasn't that, because I think once it started being absurd, then you kind of like, well, I guess it's absurd. So some of the stuff is just not going to make sense. But that being said, I don't think it's for me.
Oh, okay. Garen loved it, right?
I listened to that episode, so yes, I do. But to be fair, it was a different episode, so maybe another episode would have been different. Like, because I don't know if the same directors and producers run every single episode.
Same producers, but yeah, they have different writers, different directors. I mean, there's definitely a writing staff, but
and especially when you're on what is obviously a budget television show, the personnel that you get makes a huge difference.
Yeah, but they did have like I don't know. You know what?
On this episode?
No, not on. You know what? I'm not. That's something I should do. I should look into the writers, because I know some of them were like writers on like other respected. I know some of the writers that they had on what's the Dick Van Dyke.
Oh yeah, all right.
I know some of those writers would write an episode here and there, so they did from time to time.
To me,
have some prestige writers, but
I would be very interested if any of the episodes were ever written or directed by like Fritz Freeling or an actual cartoon director or writer.
Oh,
because I'm sure that there's probably an episode that I would like that was written and or directed by somebody from what kind of shows you're talking, like a Dick Van Dyke, and that'd be great. But for me, I suspect that would be an outlier because it's not the intention of the show. The intention of the show is to be a cartoon. And so I'm wondering if there are any writers or directors who were cartoon writers or directors that were brought in, because that might, like, if I saw one of those, I might go, oh yeah, this is what I would have hoped for from this kind of a show.
Yeah. I'm seeing a lot of the same names though. The people that wrote this episode wrote quite a few of the episodes, which is weird because
who wrote your absolute favorite episode?
That's what I'm looking for. One of my favorite episodes is in season 2, so we haven't gotten to it yet. But in fact, probably most of my favorite episodes are in season 2. But this episode, there are very funny bits to me in this episode.
I agree that there were some funny bits. There were a couple of things I don't overall, know that I actually laughed at anything.
But overall, not the best, because like I really I don't like. I mean, I like the Rob Roy Fingerhead. I'm making fun of his name, but I don't enjoy him as the villain. He's just not an enjoyable villain.
Here's the thing that I have been taught in my sort of time learning, especially because I've played a lot of improv villains, and the thing I've taught is that the best villains, you understand why they're that.
Yes.
Right. They think that what they're doing is right, which I think this character thinks what he's doing is right. So that part's there, but you understand it. And then you go, but you're terrible. So
right.
like, but if you make it a cartoon, like you've got your, I'm always going to go to Warner Brothers. So you got your Elmer Fudd, you got your Yosemite Sam, you've got your Coyote. Like those are the quote unquote villains. Right. And they're all trying to kill somebody. If you think about it, because there's guns and shotguns and trying to blow people up. So that all kind of tracks. But like Coyote's reason for doing what he does is really obvious. He would like to eat a Roadrunner, and then eventually he's mad at the Roadrunner because the Roadrunner keeps getting the best of him. Right. Elmer Fudd's hunting, blah, blah, blah. Yosemite Sam just wants people to leave him alone. So he's got the least sort of direct justification, but you can kind of understand it a little bit. So I don't know that we get why this guy is this way.
Yeah, you're right. He's just a snob. He's just like snob with no logic.
And I don't know that it totally connects.
Yeah.
Because to me, if they made him a really good photographer that had, like, it doesn't have to be grounded, but like was a little less cardboard, I think he might have been okay. And then theoretically Quagmire's a little bit of a villain too.
But at least she's fun and she has nice outfits and weird facial expressions.
Hey, look, Fingerhead had nice outfits too.
Yeah, but
there's a lot of nice outfits. Yeah. All right.
I feel like she did more.
I mean, he was on screen more.
That's true. But I ultimately like Madame Quagmire. I mean, like I enjoyed her.
She could have, she is redeemable. I feel like he's not, but I don't understand why. And like we're over analyzing what is essentially a child's cartoon.
Yeah, that's this podcast.
Fair enough. So to me, it's like, I wanted him to be like the boss's nephew.
Yeah, that would, yes.
Because then everything he does is justified because he can't fire him.
Right. That would make sense.
But it's not going to be her nephew. It's going to, because we don't even realize that she could lose her job until the very end.
Right.
Because she seems like the person with all the power.
Yeah.
And so if you introduce like the matriarch or the patriarch who runs this company, and then he's that person's nephew or son, then suddenly all of his incompetence totally makes sense.
Right.
And I would accept it more.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that would make, yes. Because I'm thinking about one of my favorite villains on this is actually from episode 13, the one where Peter's in love with the debutante. Actually, no. Yeah, he's one of my favorite villains because he's a snob. He's like the love interest, but he's a jealous snob, right? So, and he's ridiculous and over the top and so enjoyable. I mean, like he has like a villain's cape for like no reason in one of the scenes, and I love it. But yeah, he is a jealous snob, and that makes sense. And like Rob Roy is just a snob, and you don't know why.
Yeah, and one wonders with 2021 eyes, was he supposed to be like a homosexual analog? I don't know.
No, I really don't think so. I really think, I don't know. No,
I mean, he didn't have the other tropes, and everybody's stylish, but he's the only man at a fashion magazine.
Yeah, well, he had a male assistant that was holding those clothes.
I forgot that character. Okay,
but yeah, he's not really a character. I don't know.
But and there's a little bit of nod to that when Peter said, like, when Peter is talking about the magazine and he's trying to say, actually, it's okay. Like, they still denigrate the idea that it's a fashion magazine.
I know. Yeah. They are very down on fashion magazines.
Right.
Like silly stuff about hair and clothes. I'm like, hey.
And so they don't come out and say like, why would a man work there? But I think there's an implication there that is very like 3 steps removed. And so, and the moment that I failed to describe with the hammer, like, to me, I'm wondering if there isn't something sort of rooted in there that they made an active choice not to go any further with.
Very interesting, because here's the thing though, they have had very racist characters.
Oh boy.
They have had very like racist jokes. It's like weird. Like, why wouldn't they just say, this guy's a sissy. Like, I don't know what would keep them from doing that when they had like somebody in yellow face a few episodes ago. You know what I mean?
So the only thing I could think of, and I'm not saying this is true because I don't have any facts, but if you think about 60s television and who's working in front of the camera and who's working behind the camera, the behind the camera parts, you probably have very few people who aren't white.
You're
but
right.
You probably do have some gay folks.
Right.
Now, would that be enough to prevent that? Because, all the famous movies have homosexual analogs. I don't know that it would, but maybe there was somebody on the staff who was like, don't do it that way. Maybe. I don't know.
That's interesting.
I don't know. It's I'm very far out on a limb there.
Yeah. But there's other, then there's other people who would, say, well, they've got long hair and, they're constantly on each other in every scene. I'm sure there were people who thought the Monkees were, anyway.
I have no doubt. And maybe that could be the explanation. All I know is it felt like the caricature.
Yeah.
Caricature. I always pronounce it wrong. Of that character was less consistent even. Like Quagmire is very consistent as far as her tropes and so forth. I don't know that Toby was a caricature or not, but she was pretty consistent except for that thing at the end.
Yeah.
And the Monkees are the Monkees, and the three Ivy League ladies, they're consistent. There's some uncomfortable face closeness, but that wasn't their fault.
Yeah, like Mickey almost made out with that one, which is so weird.
And that's why I thought we were going to see them again. And honestly, one wonders if maybe the script was longer and that they were there to be taken pictures with, and then that's why the girls got mad later.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's good.
Because that would have made sense, right?
No, but why would you take pictures with those are Ivy League girls. They're not there to get pictures taken.
I guess. But this is an absurd show, so why couldn't they have been?
Yeah,
right?
That's true.
And so I don't know, but it feels like his character, Fingerhead's character, there's a lot of things going on there with that character, and it doesn't quite land on one of them where we can go, that's the cartoon villain, and we understand him.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, there's no one.
So we just don't like him.
Yeah.
which is a fine reason to have somebody be a villain.
Yeah.
But I don't know, it didn't quite work, and then his comeuppance was weird, and
not very good, not very satisfying.
Yeah.
He's just he was an assistant before. He's just assistant to Toby, and he sat on his camera. Oh, right. You got him. That's not enough.
No,
you're right.
I mean, does one want to rewrite this story? Probably not.
No, it's okay.
But if one did, there are things you could do to make that character more interesting. And one of the things that I've noticed, as I say, I watch a lot of animated stuff. Have you, by any chance, did you watch She-Ra when you were a kid?
No, I did not. I was not interested in any He-Man, right. She-Ra. I know I was supposed to.
No. That's at me. Totally fine.
Did not.
By the way, they're basically terrible. But, and they're part of that era where cartoons were designed to sell things to people, which that's no different with this, I guess. But they redid She-Ra recently.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
And it's very good. And what was my point?
Villains.
They're villains. Like they take the villains from the original show and they remold them and they make them make sense.
Okay.
And I think that I've become accustomed to that. And so 50-year-old Elliot watching children's cartoons, now watching the Monkees, goes, yeah, you know what? That's not good enough. It's not good enough.
Come on. It was just there to sell cereal and Kool-Aid.
Right. And by the way, nobody had a VCR, so you didn't get to watch it again and go, wait a minute, what?
Exactly. Yeah. Not till, yep.
There's a little thing that I like to bring up when we're talking about like being able to rewatch things or pause them and rewind them. Today totally changes television.
Yeah.
One of my favorite shows is The Rockford Files.
Uh-huh.
And I am sure that somebody could say about the Rockford Files something along the lines of what I'm saying about the Monkees, right?
Right.
So fair enough. But one of the things that happened that kind of like explains how people produce these television shows. So in the first season, in one of the shows, uh, it was a two-parter that like at one point he's supposed to go to someplace in the desert, either Mojave or Nevada or someplace in Northern California.
Okay.
And first of all, they spend 5 minutes with him driving in the desert. Like, I don't even know why you do that, but they did it because they had the footage and they needed to fill the time. So he goes out, he does whatever. There's stuff. He's like a Philip Marlowe type character, and he's a reluctant hero. Blah blah blah. He comes back to Los Angeles, and there's some footage justifying that as well. Well, I was watching it 2 or 3 years ago, and I noticed something's wrong, and I paused it, and I realized he's on the wrong side of the car.
Oh, they just reversed it.
They reversed the plate because in their head, they're like, well, he was going left to right to go to the desert. So now he's got to go right to left to come back home. We're going to flip that. Nobody's going to notice.
Right. Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, wow.
And so that's the kind of logic that television was in the 60s and 70s.
Right.
Like, nobody's ever going to see this again. And in fact, in the 40s and 50s, they very often didn't save
they would just
the footage
tape over it or destroy it. Yeah.
Well, they would destroy a lot of it was on film. And then it's definitely like BBC is historically like a bunch of like a lot of the Doctor Who's. They taped over those tapes.
I know, that blows my mind.
Well, because the tape was so expensive and they were never going to use it again, and nobody thought to archive anything.
That blows my mind. I don't understand that at all. But okay.
So taking all that and applying it back to our topic of the Monkees, this is aimed at children. They're never. I don't even know if in '67 if they had. Oh, my brain is freezing. Syndication.
Well,
I don't know if syndication was a thing yet, because it started around the time as Star Trek.
I think they did, because I know they did. They started. Remember, I told you they started like.
But when they shot it, did they know that there was syndication?
I don't know.
I'm looking it up.
Oh, they did have a contract. The Monkees did have a contract. Well, when did they redo their contract? They redid their contract in '67.
So it looks like there were some syndicated series in the 1950s and 60s, but I remember that for Star Trek, like the first season, I don't think they had a syndicated contract, so it wasn't assumed.
Yeah,
and so one wonders with the directors and the writers and everything, where they're like, well, nobody's ever going to see this again, so we'll just do whatever.
Yeah. Oh, I looked up the writers of this episode.
Yeah. What'd you find out?
And Dee Caruso and Gerald Gardner were the head writers for Get Smart.
Wait, what?
Dee Caruso and Gerald Gardner, the writers of this episode, were the head writers for the comedy series Get Smart.
That's fascinating.
They started writing for nightclub comedy acts for Don Adams, and Caruso started as writing for nightclub comedy acts. And then he wrote an episode for Gilligan's Island.
That's fascinating.
He taught at the UCLA Extension Writers Program, screenwriting professor for the UCLA School of Theater, Film, and Television.
Well, so that's really interesting. So Get Smart, created by Mel Brooks and Buck Henry, so giants in comedy.
Yeah,
but
so
that's really interesting. Well, I mean,
yeah, that's crazy to me.
Gerald Gardner and Dee Caruso, yeah, that's interesting.
This episode goes all over the place.
It does go all over the place. I don't know how to explain that. That doesn't make sense to me, because
I don't get it either.
Because I mean, there's some good bits in it.
Yes.
I'm trying to remember. Like I say, I didn't watch Get Smart very much when I was a kid.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Yeah, we got it. We got to wrap this up. All right.
Yeah. Fair enough.
All right. So I'm gonna say that my favorite. I love. Patrice Wyman, I think is her name.
Was Quagmire?
Mrs. Quagmire, who I believe was the last last widow. That doesn't make sense. One of Errol Flynn's last wives, I think.
Oh.
Yeah. She
wow.
Which is kind of crazy.
That's interesting.
That she is very elegant, and I enjoy her, and I think she's very funny, even though character decisions make no sense.
I have no problem with. By the way, even Toby's actress, I think she did fine. That didn't bother me because I've seen that character in other shows of this era.
Yeah, she was the monkey girl. She was known as the monkey girl because she was on multiple episodes of the Monkees.
Oh boy! All right, did she play the same name?
Harris. No, she would just be like random fan girl or
which happened a lot in shows of that era.
Exactly. Yeah. So
and still sometimes happens now.
Yeah. So she would just be. She was on like I think 13 episodes.
Oh goodness.
Yeah.
All right. Good for her. Work.
She was also on Batman too. She was I think she was a Catwoman henchwoman.
Okay.
She was Kitty or something. So good on you, Valerie. Though I wish they'd reshot that one part where you messed up your line. All right.
Couldn't afford it. They couldn't take the time.
All right. So we went through it today, y'all.
Yep.
We had some
You saw the name on the tin.
Quake, Get Smart. We learned about some TV shows. The effort involved to put pictures of Kellogg's on the screen. 38 specials. The far out space nuts. I will never forget. Eliot's disdain for Peter Tork.
Sorry.
So much. So much. The fashions, the divoon. We learned about divoon. We learned a lot in this episode. I hope you all enjoyed it. This was nuts. So Eliot, where can people find you if they want to learn more about the history of TV cameras and syndication?
You can follow me on Twitter at Eliot Hochberg. I'm still I came back to Twitter and I'm still doing that. We mentioned twitch.tv/SimpleNight1. You can 3 days a week right now. Was it awesome. Tuesday, Friday, and Saturday? I do some streaming. And you got your Hochspiel.com, HOCHSPIEL.com is where my game stuff is going. And I've got some things I'm going to be working on soon. So we'll see what happens with that.
Oh, cool.
And of course, if you're here, you probably already know about Never Not Funny, but I'll mention it because why shouldn't I? NeverNotFunny.com. You can find all the stuff there.
And say hi to Mark. Remember Mark? I don't know. You remember who Mark is? Anyway, he's my friend that listens to
Hello, Mark.
And I think you and he have mutual friends. So I remember talking to Mark and he was like, oh yeah, Eliot. I know Eliot. And I was like, what? That's crazy. So anyway, yeah. Yay. Hi, Mark. Mark will have some answers for us on some of our questions, I'm sure, because Mark is a genius. All right. I think that's going to do it, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it. I do. I love Eliot. He is my favorite pedant. I love it so much. We learned so much. Okay, so this has been the Monkees podcast. Subscribe, leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. Hey, I haven't checked my ratings and reviews. I hope somebody left a review because I scolded you all last episode because there was nothing there for quite some time. So please write a review. Find us on all social media at Monkees Podcast and support the show by getting official podcast merch at dragonwagonshop.com. I finally got myself my own shirt. So there you go. All right. That's going to do it. Thanks, Eliot.
You're welcome. Thank you, Tekurah.
Wee! Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Hey, everyone. Jake Lloyd here. I just wanted to take a quick moment to tell you about my debut feature film, Pinch. Pinch is the story of two strangers brought together by the chance to own a rare and valuable sports collectible, but to do so, they're tasked with stepping out of their comfort zones and onto a baseball field. It is a story about love, family, how we define success, and how sometimes it's hard to look beyond our own insecurities. Pinch is what happens when the Sandlot grows up. I made Pinch with no budget, no crew, just a ton of heart, and I'm thrilled to share it with you. You can rent or buy it digitally on Amazon or watch completely free on Prime Video. Visit pinchmovie.com and follow @pinchmovie on Instagram for more info on this charming little indie movie that means so much to me. Thank you so much for listening to Dragon Wagon Radio. I appreciate your time. Now let's hear that awesome little network stinger that comes at the end of every show. Hey, you know what? That voice of the little network stinger, that's Tony Wayne, star of Pinch, now on Amazon. See what I did there? Okay, bye. I love you. Thank you so much. Pinchmovie.com.
Dragon Wagon.